Bam. Okay. Did that even work? I think it did. Oh, Richard. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Boom. Boom. Let us see. Oh, see. Oh, see. Oh, see. Can you see? All right, let's see. Let's see. Why? What is that smell? Is it my upper lip? All right. What up, Stevie? Buy 'em. Buy 'em. Let's see. Let's see. No. All right. I'm gonna go check. I'll check my PO box tomorrow. See if it came back or didn't go or whatever. Uh, hello, bro. You're smart. Thank you, brothers. Radiation poisoning, just tiny particles passing through your body. So, kind of, yes and no. So, radiation poisoning is often from, like, if there's a radioactive dust in the air, whatever, and you breathe it in, and then those pieces of radioactive material are in your body. It was in some food. Say corn was grown in a place that had radioactive material in the ground, and then that corn becomes radioactive, has some of the radioactive elements in the corn. Then you eat it. Then as it goes through your body, it's putting off um, alpha particles or gamma rays or whatever, and then that destroys your DNA slowly as it goes through your body. But you can get some radioactive. It's not considered poisoning if it's just like radioactive beams from like outer space just flying through, because it usually is corrected pretty quickly. But usually you have to breathe in like radioactive dust from like an explosion or an accident, or eat something that's contaminated, or have it on your skin. It can be on your skin also. Like if you grab something that's radioactive, that the beams coming off of that are damaging your skin. Mail is probably slower to get to my apartment because I ordered a zinc. It still haven't come. No, yeah, I was surprised it took so long to get to you, considering it got to Canada in like 6 days, 6 days or less. And now, speaking of which, I got it. So I'll go check the tomorrow's Sunday. Oh yeah, I can still get into the PO box. I'll check it. I'll check it tomorrow. I got to go out anyway tomorrow. I'll swing by and make sure that it left, or I didn't put the freaking name backwards. I don't write letters very often. I remember I was in my 30s and I had to write a letter, and I put my address on the front, and on the front and center, and I put the address where it was going in the as the return address, so it got mailed to myself. No, man, I know I didn't do that, but yeah. Our chemtrails, yes, chemtrails are absolutely real. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and you can see the difference now. Whether or not they are what the conspiracies say they are, we don't know. Like, I mean, because but I suspect that we're going to find out in the near future. I think there will be people with drones that have enough altitude that will be able to take up something to get a sample. But yeah, like I actually posted a video probably over a year ago. It was a YouTube short, and they in I want to say Switzerland or Sweden, they made grids, and they actually do cloud seeding in Dubai in the desert. That's how they get rain there, by chemically treating the uh the clouds. You can do what's called a use a cloud generation engine, which is a rocket engine that's just in a building strapped down so it doesn't take off. But when you see like SpaceX or whatever, NASA or whoever, when they launch a rocket, you see those big clouds. Well, for the fuel, they just use liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So when they come together, they make water vapor, a cloud. Here, I'll show you. We actually got something. It's going to be pretty hot. Looks like I am American pharmacy. In my country, it's a 52 Celsius. Brother, you in the Middle East? I actually watched a video on that today, how like a whole bunch of like the Arab nations are getting excessively hot. Like I think 53 is the point where the sweat doesn't evaporate off your body properly, and you can even drink water, and in the shade you can die from heat exhaustion in a matter of hours. So that's crazy. What are those chemtrails? I don't know. I'll show you what I was talking about. When I get old, I will grow my hair long. Yeah. I did the same thing. When I was young, I was in a band. I mean, when I was like 19, 20, 21, 22, I was in a band, so I had long hair back then. And then in my 30s, I cut it a little bit shorter, about up to the bottom of my ears. And then when I got older, I started growing it out again. The artificial range is messing up the natural environment. Yeah, absolutely. There's a theory that when climate change became like a big thing in the news, like saved the world, there's theories, and there's actually been reporting on it from a company that you can hire. You can hire companies to make it rain over your property. It's called Rainmaker, I believe. Rainmaker Company Cloud Seeding. Yeah, right here. Look at this. Rainmaker.com. So you can go to this company and you can say, I want it to rain. I want it to rain. And they'll come and they'll spray they'll make it rain on your property. And they're using drones to put the stuff up in the air. Oxygen tank is good to have one here. Yeah. Global warming is so real. It's almost 45 degrees Celsius in India. Well, right. And it's probably has a little bit to do with climate, with man-made climate issues. But what we're finding to be not true, at least now, the science there's for scientific consensus, there's consensus 1 and consensus 2. We only ever hear about consensus 1, which is us using our air conditioners in America is destroying the weather over in the UK. That doesn't appear to be true anymore. What appears to be true is if you go back to like the 1600s, there was also 53 degrees Celsius days. So it just swings. We haven't been recording really that long, but now we can go through and find like ice cores and tree ring counting. And we can see like tree rings are thicker when it's warmer. I believe it's warmer. So if you count the tree rings back, if you get like big enough trees that go that far back, you can actually see that we had very hot seasons too, but it appears to be happening like a little bit quicker. So it used to get this hot too 500 years ago. And so it's happening again. Yeah, just pay. Yes. Yeah. And they do it in Dubai and a lot in the UAE, but whatnot. They that's how they make it rain. And you can actually get there. Here, look. So let me show you guys this real quick. Let me show you guys this real quick. So this is a cloud engine. If you don't have any clouds and you need clouds, you can make a cloud engine. Cloud generation engine. Oops. Sorry. All right, watch this. Okay.
They even had to move 5 cemeteries because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead.
So this is basically a rocket engine, but it's in a building and it's strapped down so it doesn't take off. Okay. Humans have made every possible natural things that they. Yeah. Yes.
The loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest. cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet. It's raining!
So this was like in the 90s, but once like in the 2000s, in the, like 2008, 9, 10, when global warming became a big thing, they don't show this stuff anymore, because then people will be like, well, maybe it's a bunch of people doing this, and it's raining all over the place, and the government is saying it's because and activists are saying it's because climate change. Don't use cars anymore. Don't burn gasoline. Even though a lot of it may be artificial. So yes, the temperature is going up, but that might not be adding to the rain. But then, so then you can do that. You can make a cloud like that, and then you can do this. Dubai cloud seeding. Yeah, it looks like it. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Let's do this. Let's do short videos. Let's do this.
Is it going to rain in Dubai today? Just so I know. I have to drive back from Abu Dhabi to Dubai.
No.
It's not raining.
So how do they know it's not raining? Because they're not seeding. It's the desert, right?
Day. The UAE government invested more than $20 million in research to start a process called cloud seeding. The UAE performs around 1,000 hours of cloud seeding a year, and it's all controlled by this building in the National Center of Meteorology in Abu Dhabi, where they track the whole process.
So what could be happening in the Middle East is, because it's not naturally supposed to be raining and then that water evaporating, is it could be making the air more humid, which kind of creates an insulative effect, and is causing that area to heat up quicker than it should. So it could be from actions like this, and not necessarily driving cars around, or people in America burning coal, or every other country. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell like what's actually going on, because you don't know. Jordan is the 34th best Dominican rapper in New Jersey. John Goldbody. His dog Toby does caca on the flow with his thin
We
dink.
met with a cloud seeding expert to explain how the seeding process works.
We wait the forecast. When we have a good chance for a cloud, we send the aircraft to that location. It go under the cloud. In the first stage of the cloud, there is good updraft at that time, start to release all the salt, and with the good updraft, of course, it will go inside the cloud. The droplets will become bigger and start to rain.
I studied climate change in college. According to many experts, 2030 will be the peak, slowly go back to normal, go towards global cooling.
Flares.
No. Cars aren't bad. Listen, without cars and trucks, we wouldn't have a society that's able to move things around to make sure food can get to the people. There's an interesting thing about climate and warming. Like I said, there's multiple consensuses. And then whatever one gets the news stations more clicks and gets the government more votes is the one they go with. But there's a theory that as it warms up, you'll have longer growing seasons, which means more food. The more carbon dioxide, the more food for the plants, but the more food for humans, and it could lead to more human flourishing. The thing is, when a company says, oh, hey, I build solar panels, and so I want to pay money to the government to say, and to YouTube and whatever I want to advertise with, to say that we're destroying the planet by burning fossil fuels. So buy my product, buy my solar panels. So stock in my company goes up and I make millions and millions of dollars. And that's the problem, is people will extend and assume what the future will be and say, if you buy my product, we'll be able to save the world. And then they make a lot of money. Climate change has absolutely nothing to do with human activity and everything to do with the sun. Sun and stars. Yes, right. And that's what, so there may be, like I said, the insulative effects of the artificial raining may have an insulative effect. That's a theory. Now, whether it has been proven or not, who knows. But yeah, we have from tree ring samples and from ice cores, we know that we have a pretty good estimation that even like the 1600s, it got to like 53 degrees. I need that screenshot for my nonsense trolling to my other channels. All right, brother. I'm glad to help. Glad to help. People don't drive more than 20 miles a day. Lead acid batteries has been a huge advancement to lead acid batteries the past 20 years. Yeah, okay, yeah. Not only that, but there's now there's a sodium ion battery which is safer and but less dense than the lithium ion battery, and there's the carbon silver battery, often called the carbon battery, which they don't call a carbon silver battery because they don't want people go out and buying a lot of silver, causing the price of silver to go up. When that stuff goes mainstream, they're going to need to buy a lot of silver, and they can buy it the cheaper that they can buy it. That's going to drive the price of silver up. Yeah, and that's going to be interesting because that can recharge. The same size batteries in a car will double the amount of miles that the car can get on each charge, and it lowers the charge speed to 6 minutes. Green light reflect the sunlight now via satellite. So that's an interesting thing too. It's like you have to wonder. I mean, we got a lot of satellites, a lot more. Like, look, satellite tracker. Satellite tracker. What they want to do is they want to be able to not have to predict, but know. So if they know they can rise the temperatures in an area, then they can come in, a bunch of companies can come in and say, hey, if it starts to get this hot, it's because we believe it's because people are burning fossil fuels. So buy my solar panels, buy my windmills, and they do things like that in order to profit off of a disaster, that a possible disaster of their own creating. It's bargain. Carbon dioxide output will not decrease without population decrease. That's a sad reality. I don't know if it's a reality, brother, because plants consume carbon dioxide. If the amount of here's the thing: is it a bad thing? Is what's part of consensus too. Is it a bad thing if carbon dioxide rises? And will the Earth just will you start to have areas that are like barren start to become fertile again? As like we start to get more rain, and then more plants grow, millions of acres of more plants grow, and then consume that oxygen. I mean, that CO2, because plants chemically, what they do is they take in CO2, they split the molecule to carbon and oxygen, they exhale the oxygen, they keep the carbon to build their woody structures. What up, William? What happens when you get 150 EV cars next to each other in a parking garage, and then one of them catches on fire? It happens to cargo ships all the time. It's devastating. Yes, that's freaking, it's horrible. Well, the carbon silver battery doesn't burn. You can stab it all you want. It's not flammable like the sodium ion and the lead acid batteries. What up, live to survive? Grow cotton in Serbia, right? Siberia, Serbia. Sahara would be good for the start of river. Yeah, and if you understand like what's happened in other parts of the world, like in Africa, they used to have the Nile, and what's the other big ass one down the Congo, the Congolese River, Congo River, right? It used to flow a lot of water, and now it's almost dry. So if we do get another very wet decade, and it fills up the aquifers, that would be very good, because the Arabs are going to have a very, very, very rough time. They've dried almost all their aquifers out, and because they were desalinating the Persian Sea, the way they desalinate it is they pull the salt water out. They use a lot of energy, usually from the oil that they pull out of the ground to burn, to use energy to desalinate that water so they can get fresh water. But they pump the salt back into like the Persian Sea. So now that's 60 times more salty than it should be. So then when they pull more water out again to desalinate it, they have to use more energy, and it's saltier and saltier and saltier. And then salt water evaporates at a different rate than fresh water. So you're not getting that evaporative cooling. Let's see. Don't listen to anyone talk about climate change. All the information is vital, as you can see for yourself. Humans have nothing to do with it. We have 10 people here. Everybody hit the like button. Hit the like button. CO2 is rising. Forest cover is decreasing. The math is not favorable for being a good thing. We don't, right. I mean, but a lot of things people are just wrong about. And science is ever evolving, right? So and the Earth the CO2, the gases in the environment are fluid. Like the pollution that we put off into the air will be over China in a freaking couple of days. So it mixes around and whatnot. And also there's carbon escape. There's one of the issues is said to believe is that the carbon dioxide will be absorbed into the oceans, acidifying the oceans and causing like shelled animals that have calcium shells that will start dissolving, and then they'll start to die off, and then that could be a collapse of the food chain. But it will be a self-correcting issue. If it's humans causing it, humans will end up dying off, and then humans will be okay again, but just not all the humans. So no more water. Right? Yes. The Middle East is running out of water. Like seriously running out of water, to the point that they believe within the next 10 years there will be wars in the Middle East for fresh water. Those commercial fast EV chargers use over 500,000 watts. A lot of watts. Spain's almost a desert. Do you know Antarctica is the largest desert in the world? I think I did know that. CDM is a great anti-global warming channel. All right, let's check this out real quick. Let's check this out. Yeah, well, so what happened is thousands of years ago, or even 1,000 years ago, hundreds of 1,000 years ago, there was a lot of rain in the Middle East. And over those years, the rain, so much rain soaks through the earth and fills up in these aquifers. But ever since, because remember, just like 20 or how long ago was it? They went from 3.2 million, I want to say in the 1980s in the Middle East, to 32 million, just in Saudi Arabia, 3.2 million population to 32 million population. So they needed more water. So they dig down to those old ancient aquifers. But because there's not a lot of rain there to replenish them, they're draining them, and it's causing it to sink. And then when it starts sinking, the sand, it's easier for the sand from the deserts to blow over and start to reclaim nature. Once a country gets to $5,000 per capita, people start caring about their environment. Anti-global warming channel, sponsored by Shell Oil. Fallen angels stand up beneath the Euphrates River. It's scientific. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Oh, this is what I want to say. Okay. All right. We'll go to YouTube. Let's go to YouTube. Let's close some of this stuff down. Yeah, water's going to be, people say oil. It's going to be water. It's definitely going to be water. People only really know what's going on in their own areas. They rarely know what's going on in other places in the world. And I try to stay on top of as much as I can about what's going on here. I want to learn everything. Okay, let's see. Okay. Iraq's rivers are drying up, the Euphrates. Something terrifying has happened at the Euphrates. Let's find this. The Middle East draining their aquifers. Tony Eller's a fraud. And the UV rays were messed up. Humans are bad. Brother, listen, we're here for humans. We have to stop fighting each other is what we have to stop doing. Yes, summer is gonna be rough. All right, let's see. Water, sacred resource, aquifers. That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find one that Okay, let me see. I spelled Dubai wrong.
Imagine standing in a $500 million penthouse, surrounded by gold-plated fixtures and Italian marble, only to turn the handle of your shower and hear nothing but a dry, hollow hiss. No water, not for a day, not for a week, but forever.
Dubai.
This isn't a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie.
Dubai.
It is the mathematical reality facing the most luxurious city on the planet. While the world stares at Dubai's towering skyscrapers and artificial islands, a much more terrifying countdown has begun.
8.3 billion global population obviously has an impact on global warming. The question is what's the magnitude of the impact? My thoughts are minimal.
And for the first time in
only
its
3 years left.
that
2030
system
downtown be
is failing. The golden faucets are beginning to run dry. The green parks are turning brown. And the authorities are scrambling to hide a crisis that could turn this desert miracle back into...
And this is what's interesting. If you look at the news, like what's going on, they're not telling anybody. They're not telling anybody what's going on. Right? So like the Dubai news aren't telling the Dubai people what's going on because they want to show that they're in control. And but it's the fact that how they're getting fresh water in a desert and how they're using it, the wasteful way that they're using it. Eric Dubai.
To a ghost town in less than 72 hours. In this video, we are exposing the fatal flaw in Dubai's existence, the terrifying truth about the desalination plants.
There you go.
The secret reports on
the television has one goal. Right.
The wealthiest residents are already preparing for.
So does the internet. So does AI. All that stuff.
A life where water.
Advertising.
Before we dive into the heart of this desert crisis, I have a small but vital favor to ask. It takes exactly 2 seconds of your time and costs you absolutely nothing to hit that subscribe button.
They live.
But for this channel,
they live. Yeah, good movie. It's
by subscribing, you help the algorithm bypass the filters that try to suppress the dark reality of the Gulf's elite, whereas helping us reach more people with the truth and allowing this channel to remain independent and
so
monetized.
I hope he gets into it.
But
one of the big things is a lot of the water, they wanted to be an exporter of more than just oil. So they started these big wheat and barley farms, these huge, but they're using the desalinated water to water the fresh water to water these crops, right? So then the crops grow and then they export like half of the crop that they grow. So that water isn't coming back. The water, if people in that area ate that stuff, eventually it would filter through their bodies. They would pee it back out. It would end up back in the ground aquifers. But they're shipping that. They're using water to grow plants that they're exporting. So that water's never coming back to the Middle East. What up, brother? I'm back. You gay? Yeah. So what about the middle of the point of this?
Dubai is a city
you're the middle. Okay, you want to move out of the Middle East.
Every
middle of
single
nowhere.
aspect
Gotcha.
is a direct war against nature. In a region where the average rainfall is less than 4 inches a year, Dubai consumes more water per capita than almost any other place on Earth. But where does it come from? It's not from rivers, it's not from lakes, and the ancient aquifers deep beneath the dunes are almost entirely exhausted. 99% of Dubai's potable water comes from the Persian Gulf through a process called desalination. It is a massive, energy-intensive, and incredibly fragile industrial miracle. But there is a problem that the tourism ads never mention.
Yeah.
Desalinization
Mayans had
has
short
a dark
calendar,
side,
long calendar. The Mayans
and
had
that
two
side
calendars
is
for
finally catching up with the Emirates.
The 2200 year or 2400 year calendar
exposed the terrifying vulnerability of these plants. A single disruption to the Jebel Ali power and desalination complex, the largest of its kind in the world, would leave millions of people without a single drop of drinkable water in just a matter of hours. Dubai's strategic water reserves are a closely guarded state secret, but independent analysts estimate that the city has less than a 3-day supply stored in its tanks.
That's
If
crazy.
the pumps stop,
all the water on the earth has always
you can
existed.
live
All
without
things are basically
electricity,
what's
you can live
worth
without
like
air
God.
conditioning, but you
Wow,
cannot
Dubai,
survive
Carlos.
3 days in the 120-degree desert heat without water.
Fish speak.
This fatal flaw is the silent nightmare
And
that
poop.
keeps the city's architects
And everything
awake at
else.
night. But the threat isn't just external. The very process of saving Dubai is currently killing the ocean that feeds it. For
Yes,
every gallon of
he's
fresh
talking
water
about the
produced,
Persian
plants pump 2 gallons
Sea.
of hypersaline brine back into the Gulf. This brine is hotter, saltier, and laced with chemicals used in the cleaning process. Because the Persian Gulf is a shallow, enclosed body of water with very little
It never gets a
circulation,
I
the
talked to
salt
Math
is
Powerlands.
accumulating.
He's
We
whacking
are
doodle.
reaching a peak salt moment where the water in the Gulf is becoming too salty to be processed efficiently. The more water Dubai drinks, the more expensive and difficult it becomes to produce the next gallon. It is a suicide loop that is reaching its breaking point in 2026.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Groundwater, which was
I
once the
gotta
backup
find out who
plan,
this guy is.
now effectively gone. In the 1970s, you could find water just a few meters below the surface. Today, farmers and developers have to drill hundreds of meters down only to find water that is so salty and contaminated that it kills the crops it was meant to save.
Yeah, it's
The
really
Green
not
Dubai
good. That
initiative,
place is not
which
attractive.
saw
I
the
don't.
planting of
Yeah, I'm
millions
not interested. It looks like chaos. It looks like pure chaos. That's what it
of
looks like to me.
trees and the creation of lush golf courses was built on the assumption that the water would always flow. But as the cost of desalinization skyrockets and the environmental impact becomes undeniable, the city is facing a choice: keep the grass green or keep the people alive. Internal
Yeah,
memos
it's
from
gonna
the
be-
Dubai Electricity and Water Authority.
It's going to be keep the grass green there because they're going to want to keep the rich people coming there, and the people that die off aren't going to. That they're going to be the workers and the locals. Sell Great Lakes water to Dubai at a premium. That's what's going to happen. That what I guarantee. And what I think, do you know how like the North Pole, the Arctic Circle, how we don't know a whole bunch about the Arctic. You can't look at it at Google Maps. So what I have a theory because people are doing it currently. Small companies are going and grabbing like big like blocks of floating fresh water because water purifies itself. Crystals are pure forms of things, and water is a crystal. Ice is a crystal of water, so it pushes the salt out and that's why it floats on top. And then they capture that, take chunks, filter it, and bottle it, and sell it as glacial water. Or so what I think is, as it starts to go, they're gonna have to go there to start wrestling a bunch of ice to start making or getting more water, and then it's ultimately going to be they need to start importing water a lot. So there's going to be a bunch of, and I'm going to invest as soon as I see it start to happen, where they start to build super tankers for fresh water. I'm going to invest in these companies because I can guarantee it's going to 500x in like a year, probably less than that, because they're going to need a constant daily resupply of fresh water, much more than the oil that they burn. Dude, we should be fine. He just weird yoga Buddhist stuff. He shows us video of Mexico City dropping elevation.
The city.
This is happening here too. This is happening. I don't know if he's going to mention it in this, but it's happening here too. It's dropping in on itself, and it's changing the landscape to the point where, since it's dipping down, the sand is blowing in. So it's going to continue to dip down, and it's going to become like a dune, and the sand's going to blow in for the outside areas, burying itself. So then they're going to need more water for more people and more fuel to street sweep and do whatever. And all of these buildings, the aquifers that they're on top of, if you don't have them full, then these things will push down and buckle and fall over. Flat Earth. The Arkansas has too much water. The largest water pumps for the entire planet's in Arkansas. I didn't know that. So I heard that. I heard about that. China says the ice dragon thing. Yes, yeah. And there's small companies that do that too. That's definitely going to happen. Not an isolated instance. How nature is. Yeah. It's supposed to be balanced, right? And just I want to say in the 80s, maybe it was the 60s, but there was 3.2 million people in Saudi Arabia, and there's 32 million now, I believe. So it 10x'd in like 50 years. Largest glaciers on Earth is about to break away from being Antarctica. Maybe they could tug it over to Dubai. If you figure out a good way to do that, you'll be a freaking 100 billionaire, easy.
Growing fast.
Probably a trillionaire. They'll give you everything.
Every new skyscraper.
Without water, they have nothing. At least there's other ways to make power. But without water, you have nothing.
To the skyline adds thousands of new mouths to feed and toilets to flush. But the ocean can only give so much. This is why we are seeing a sudden frantic push for
Chad has good
cloud seeding,
ideas. We should be in charge.
the controversial practice of forcing clouds to rain
That's what
by
I've been
spraying them
saying.
with silver iodide. While the government portrays this as a technological triumph, experts warn it is an act of desperation. Cloud seeding is unpredictable. And as we
So, do you know about the big flood that happened in Dubai a couple of years ago? Like, it was a huge flood, like hundreds of millions of dollars just in exotic cars were flooded out and destroyed. Well, the theory was they were trying to figure out a way to seed it and then capture the water, but they didn't have enough capture devices. They overdid the seeding and they flooded it. So that's the theory, but you can't keep pulling out more moisture out of the air. You'll be the second trillionaire. Do it, brother. I'll support you. Oh, absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
saw with the recent historic floods, it can cause more damage to the infrastructure than it provides in usable water. The elite are already reacting. In the
I think they were hoping to refill the aquifers, but it's so far down. They've got so many meters of just bone dry earth that all that has to be soaked to saturation before it gets down to the aquifer and start filling them up. And in order to do that, they'd have to flood the place for like decades.
gated communities of Emirates Hills.
Ain't gonna be the second if I was ain't gonna be the second if I was the second. That's right.
Storage tanks.
Make it happen, Adam.
Atmospheric water generators that pull moisture from the air.
And that's probably what's helping heat the place up too. We need to get rid of all the billionaires, trillionaires, tax them out of existence.
Hits.
Brother, we had a stream yesterday's stream. We got into talking about that. And it doesn't look like it's going to work. There's over 1,000 billionaires in America, and we only ever talk about taxing like 6 of them. We don't ever talk about taxing Jamie Pritzker, and we don't ever talk about taxing Bill Gates, and we don't ever talk about taxing George Soros. So there's something that's going on. I think the billionaires on the left want to tax the billionaires on the right out of existence. That's what I think. Because the billionaires on the left are not going to play that game. And it looks like they're not. Like they're trying to start to do that in Seattle. And Seattle's got a 35% vacancy on business real estate. 35% of their available business real estate is now left. And they're sitting empty. Nobody's buying it. So I think it's a fight. I think they're telling us they want to tax the billionaires in order to help the poor. But why don't they just help the poor? We're 40 trillion in debt. They could just go 45 trillion in debt and then help all the poor people. I think it's a dick measuring contest with the left and the right. And the billionaires on the left want to tax the billionaires on the right out so their companies start to fail. So then the government takes them over. Seize the means of production, if you will. And then the government and the people that are in that government will now be able to absorb that money. Dubai is the richest city in the world, right? But billionaire wealth tax from assets make it difficult to tax. Have you ever had a job that pays $5,000 a week? The Epstein class works to protect themselves. Brother, listen, that's all gone. That's all gone. That's all gone now. Now the pedophile protectors are the left. The guy that was supposed to be the vice president of the United States just pardoned a pedophile that raped a 10-year-old girl multiple times, and he gave him a pardon. That's crazy. So now the left's no better than the right in everybody's eyes. It's going really bad. A class war against Epstein class is fighting. Yeah, it's a class war. That's why the left and the right need to get together. The people, the Americans of the left and the right need to get together to make a class, to fight the elite class. But instead, we're fighting each other over whether it should be Trump or freaking Kamala. And no, if you don't vote for and that's driven us all apart. And it's easy. It's easy. Look what they're doing to us. So what's ultimately going to happen is we're going to have to figure out a way to get together as a people and then push people into a third party or take over one of the two, because the Democrats are now being taken over by the DSA. So now they're fractured. So that's failing. And then you can see what happening with the DSA in New York and over in Seattle, Washington. And that's fallen apart. So I think that the reasons they did that was to try to ultimately grab the companies. But now AI companies want to give the Trump administration 5%. OpenAI wants to give 5% of all profits, all stock from OpenAI endeavors to the Trump administration to help give money to the rest of the United States. Basically start a sovereign fund like how they have in Alaska for oil. And then if the AI makes trillions and trillions of dollars, we'll get a check every month. So we can figure something out. We just have to do it without fighting each other. In a world full of mice, a handful of rats. Why do so many billionaires cheat on each other? Trump cheated on his wife, Bill Gates too. Yeah, they're crazy. Real leftists don't support billionaires. Well, right. Well, that's the problem. Is now the left is dividing. Now the left is dividing because you have a lot of leftists that aren't anti-billionaire. They want jobs and they want to have a future for their kids and stuff. And then the other leftists don't. So now they're fighting each other. So now you have three fractures in the left. And who's going to get behind like one good presidential candidate? You're going to have the far left, the mid left, and the moderate left all have three different people to vote for. That's going to divide the Democrat vote. And then whoever the Republicans put in are going to grab it. Absolutely. You're going to have the people that will vote for the DSA, the vote for the moderate, and vote for the far left, let's say. And that's going to divide the Democrat vote. And then you'll be cooked. That's what the future looks like if we don't get our act together.
The government will prioritize the hospitals and the military, leaving the residential towers to fend for themselves. The water exodus has already begun among those who have the means to move their capital to more temperate climates. They are trading their desert penthouses for lakeside estates in Europe and North America, realizing that luxury is worthless without a reliable faucet. Furthermore, the brine crisis is destroying the local fishing industry and the delicate coral reefs that once protected the shoreline. As the ecosystem collapses, the natural beauty that attracted millions of tourists is fading. The water around Dubai is becoming a dead zone, devoid of life and increasingly toxic.
And now it's almost 53 degrees
This
Celsius.
is a lead indicator of the city's overall health. If the ocean can no longer support life, how can a city of 3 million people expect to survive on its shores? The arrogance of building a mega metropolis in a wasteland is finally meeting the reality of biological limits.
If mass amounts of mice die, why would it bother the rats? It won't.
The entire real estate market in Dubai is
It'll give them food.
The idea of infinite
It'll give them
growth
more resources
absolute
to take from each other.
If the perception of water
The
security
billionaire
shifts,
left and the billionaire
property
right will fight
values
over the
will
scraps.
evaporate overnight. Who would buy an apartment on the 81st floor of a building where the water pressure might fail at any moment? Investors are starting to look at the water risk as a primary factor in their portfolios. The safe haven status of the UAE is being questioned, not because of its banks, but because of its pipes. As we look at the logistics of the desalination plants, we see a system under immense strain. The machinery is being pushed to its absolute limit to keep up with the demand of the summer months. Maintenance cycles are being shortened, and the risk of a catastrophic mechanical failure is higher than ever.
Right, and now
in the shadow of regional instability.
And now they have, you can't work during the day. So the maintenance stuff, the stuff that maintenance that would normally go on during the day, it's too hot. So now they have to only have maintenance at night because it's too hot during the day to be outside. And so now they cannot maintain what they need to maintain, and they don't have enough time. They used to do 24-hour maintenance, but now because of the heat, now they only have like 8-hour maintenance windows. 2.5% of the water on Earth is fresh. Only 1.2 of fresh water is surface water. 7% of groundwater serves locked with ice and permafrost. Right. That's why I think they're going to go for the ice. Have you ever heard about Hamas transferring power? Yeah. So I heard about. I mean that was supposed to happen. Originally, when it happened in 2006 or whatever, 2006, when they got elected, and then they did away with elections, and then now they're talking about without Iranian missiles, they don't have anything to fight Israel with. So, like they believed that oil-rich Iran would be able to get missiles, and they did. They had missiles. They developed missiles there. They had the Chinese set up manufacturing for missiles and whatnot there, and then they were sending missiles from Iran to Gaza, to the what is that name, that strip called, whatever the name of that strip's called, into Gaza, and then they were attacking or protecting whatever side you're on from Israel. But now that's stopped, so they don't have any bullets left. 100%. But the shadows, the cat's waiting, watching, always. No, God's not the cat. God is God. The cat is the freaking people that we don't even know their names. They're not fighting on the internet. What up, Chance?
The fear of a cyber attack on the control systems of these plants.
From what I heard,
a
Israel's
reality
about
that
Hamas
security
lying about
forces
that,
are
claim that
struggling to
Hamas still have
manage.
weapons.
A few lines of code could do more
I
damage.
mean, I only know what I know. I mean, like what the truth is and what I'm told is two different things often. And saying that for all of us, the truth, what's true, but what we know is that Iran is no longer has missile making capabilities. So the Iranian supply to Hamas is now been cut off. Now, if there's another seller, getting that, then absolutely. I'm sure somebody stepped in. It's money. Happened on my topic. There you go, brother. I guess one step toward peace. I freaking hope so, Adam. If you gathered all the water on Earth together, it would be a sphere 80 miles in diameter. The drones. What up, Trey?
Damage to Dubai than a fleet of bombers by simply turning off the water. This is
Yeah.
the fatal flaw. They can't.
Sorry. So that, right. So you hit their desalination plants and they're done. They're done. If they were to ever fight anybody, and you don't even need a bomber, somebody, if they got into a fight with their neighbors, somebody could just go in with a vest and take out a huge part of their desalination. And then they've got 3 days to do something about that. And they ain't getting something that complex online in 3 days.
Can't hide anymore. The mirage is flickering. The city of gold is realizing it is actually
Mirage is a
city
good
of
word for
salt.
that too.
As the sun beats down on the glass
Israel was
towers,
paying Hamas
the
leaders
sound
Qatar
of
for
the
$30
desert
million a
wind
month
is
for
being
October
joined
7th,
by
and
the
Israel's
sound of
paying
empty
Hamas $30
pipes.
million a month.
The countdown has
Hamas,
reached a
Israel was
critical
doing.
stage.
Yeah.
And for the
Right. So and that's the same kind of thing that was going on with America. Joe Biden sent Iran $100 billion, and then so that was supposed to button up what happened during the Obama Biden administration when they said when they came to that plan. It's wackadoodle. Create problems that you can create so that you can sell solutions to. Putting back a bunch of scrap pipes, love free stuff. They have missiles so at the GDC desalination too. Yeah.
Millions of expatriates who call Dubai home. The question is no longer, how much can I earn, but how much longer can I stay? The water is running out and the desert is waiting to take back what was stolen from it.
And that's a tax haven. They don't have income tax, and they don't have tax on. So that's why so many freaking rich people go there, so that their wealth isn't taxed, and they create companies there because there's no corporate tax. And then if there's no water, then what are you gonna do? Trump and Putin, it's a new world order. Many intelligent assets said Iran already restarted limited production of ballistic missiles and launch platforms, which has recovered faster than so yeah, it's pretty freaking fast. It's only been 4 months, so that's fast. The golden age. Yeah, I'm about the golden age. You talking about liberals who support billionaires and leftists don't. Listen, brother, listen. There are leftists who are funded by those billionaires. George Soros, for instance. There are leftists that are funded by them, and they do not want that funding to dry off. This is why you never hear it, that you never hear those names come up. You only ever hear right-wing billionaires be talked about when they say and moderates. Like you don't hear them say tax freaking, like I said, like who's the guy from Chicago, Jamie Pritzker. He's got $4.3 billion from selling teddy bears, and they don't. And yeah, now and the way it's working is the billionaires that control the left Like, how do you think all these signs get printed? How do you think all the people get to protests? They get flown and bussed over. There's billionaires paying for that, and they want that. What's ultimately happening is the billionaires on the left are controlling the mobs on the left, and then they're going to end up with the rich. They're going to end up with the rich ones, and we're going to end up broke. We're fighting for the billionaire left while never even bringing their names up, and then they're going to be like, "No, we own you. Thank you, thank you." Iran continues receive critical components, precursors for solid missile propellant, especially from China. That's not a good idea. Not the left side say by right. I mean, I understand, and I think that's one of the big problems that we have. One of the big problems we have is we're not talking to each other, so that we have people that are in these bubbles. And they don't really know what's going on outside of those bubbles. So then we're going to get taken over because we're all separate. We're all split up. And when we all start talking and get a plan, because there's just bubbles of this, and people aren't getting together en masse. Maybe you got 50, 100, 200 people, but there's 100 million leftists. Where like we can't, we all got to start talking to each other, but we're afraid if they're a freaking Kamala supporter or a Trump supporter, we're afraid to talk to each other to find out like what a good way forward is. And the people that have those billions of dollars know how to manipulate us. It seems China is still giving Iran resources to cover. Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I understand. But that word doesn't mean much anymore when we're the ones being controlled by the ones with the billions. Listen, the billionaires that support the leftists do not want to lose their money, or they would just donate it all. If the billionaire leftists didn't want to keep their money, they would just give it away. They're not giving it away, which shows you they don't mean what they say. Leftists are Tyler Robson at this point. Are you a fan of Trump trying to give F-35s to Turkey? Seems like a horrible idea. No, I'm not a fan. The enlightened centrist. I mean, brother, you can call me whatever you want. I just want to know everything. If you want to hate me because I'm not worshiping whatever you worship, I'm sorry. But I'm trying to tell you the truth. That's the truth. If you can't see that we never hear from the billionaire leftists about taxing the billionaire leftists, it's because they're going to be the ones that end up with the money. They're going to be the ones. If they wanted to give their money away, they would just do it. Because they're the ones that control the politics. I heard they blew up the railroads to Russia and China. You're right. China has secretly been drones to Iran. All has asked them to deny it. Just have a target on plants and wait for them to repair it. Insert World War II lessons here. What's wrong with that problem? We just got lucky China isn't as aggressive as we are. Yeah. Well, but I wonder if there's a reason for that. And I think there's a reason for that, Billy. I think the reason is what happened in Venezuela. Venezuela had the top Chinese stealth detecting technology, and it didn't work. So if that was China's top of the line warfare equipment there, and it didn't work, then they would know to wait until they build up again. I'm waiting. Turkey would just be blueprint one of the best jets to see. So dumb. I made a bet with a local buddy at a bar, $2 a sign stand. I bet low tested. That's the reservation and the GCC by June 2029. Dead nonprofits are. Yes, right. Nonprofit doesn't mean the people don't make money. It means the company doesn't make money. Well, you can get online and start a nonprofit in 15 minutes, less than that, 5 minutes. But you can still get, like, if you get donated $1 million, you can give yourself $500,000 a year, for 2 years. And then say, oh, it went bankrupt. And then you got $1 million in your pocket. I don't know. It seems like it's happening. It's dissolving so like now the Democrats are now centrists, liberals, and leftists, and that's not good. That's not good for the Democrat Party because they're gonna spread the vote. They're not gonna back behind one candidate. China wants to sell Iran weapons. Yeah, they want that money because they want that oil. They sent Venezuela the T movers. They had to have. Their tax escape. Right.
The terrifying reality of Dubai's water crisis isn't just about the scarcity of the resource, it's about the catastrophic failure of the infrastructure required to move it. In a city of skyscrapers, water doesn't just flow, it has to be pumped against gravity to reach the thousands of luxury apartments
Right.
suspended in the sky. These pumping systems require a constant, massive supply of electricity.
Speaking
If
of
the power
lessons, we
grid,
sold F-14
already
Tomcats, so
strained
I
by the
ran. We sold
record-breaking
F-16s
heat
to
waves
us.
of
Yeah.
2026 were to falter for even a few hours, the entire vertical city would effectively shut down. Right, we are seeing reports of pressure drops in some of the older districts of Deira and Bur Dubai, a subtle but ominous sign that the system is reaching its mechanical limits.
What up,
This
Papa
brings us to
Bear?
the brine revenge phenomenon. For
Brian
years,
Revenge. There
scientists
you go.
warned that dumping millions of tons of concentrated salt back into the Persian Gulf would create a
Persian
Dead
Gulf.
Sea.
Why I say Persian Sea?
Now, in March 2026,
Right, Persian Gulf.
those warnings have become a reality. The salinity levels near the intake pipes of the major desalinization plants have reached a point
Yeah,
where
I agree.
membranes are
I agree.
clogging at triple the normal rate. This isn't just an environmental tragedy, it's an engineering nightmare. To keep the water flowing, the plants have to use more chemicals and more energy, which in turn creates more brine. Warren, it is a feedback loop of destruction that is making the very water Dubai relies on increasingly toxic and difficult to treat. The economic cost of this water war is being passed directly to the residents. Over the last 6 months, water utility bills for expats have surged by 45%. For the middle-class families and small business owners who are already struggling with the rising cost of living, this is the breaking point. We are seeing a massive spike in lease terminations as people realize that the tax-free life is being eaten away by the soaring cost of basic survival. In the industrial areas, where thousands of workers live in crowded conditions, the water rationing has already begun. The hidden Dubai is thirsty, and that thirst is turning into resentment. Logistically, Ron, the UAE is trying to pivot toward massive aquifer injection projects.
They couldn't do
Pumping
something else with the
desalinated
brine,
water
suppose
back
it's
into
not.
the ground to create an
It's so much. And I think a lot of it also, they pumped into their natural underground aquifers, making them salty. So now they're finding that the 10% of the water that they have left in their aquifers is now salty and contains the chemicals from the desalination process. So now the fresh water that they did have is contaminated. It's one of those dark sides. It's called Dubai is running out of water. The fatal flaw they can't hide anymore. I'll post a link in the chat. Hit the like button. Venezuela also showed Russia something. Russia F-300s and S-400 and there. Yeah, these got turned off. Good. Thank you, brother Chance.
reserve. But these projects are years behind schedule and billions of dollars over budget. The geological reality is that the sand and rock beneath Dubai are not a perfect sponge. Much of the water being stored is simply leaking away or becoming contaminated by the surrounding saltwater.
Or it's just
The
evaporating.
government is selling a dream of water security, but the data suggests they are just buying a few more months of time. The fatal flaw is also attracting the wrong kind of international attention. Short sellers and hedge fund managers are now looking at water vulnerability as the new metric for shorting Dubai's real estate market. They aren't looking at interest rates or tourism numbers. They're looking at the salinity charts of the Persian Gulf. If the world's investors decide that Dubai is a dry risk, the capital flight will be unstoppable. We've already seen a 12% dip in off-plan sales for new luxury towers that don't have independent, sustainable water systems. The market is waking up to the fact that a building without water is just a very expensive pile of glass and steel.
Right.
Even more alarming
Isn't it
is the
true water
silence
can't
from
leave the atmosphere?
influencers and the PR machines.
Right. We have what's called the water cycle, right? And it evaporates. But what does happen is contamination and absorption. So that means like in our bodies, in our bricks, in our food, in our ground. So like I was mentioning before, he didn't mention it, so I mentioned that a lot of the exports from Saudi Arabia, well, this area, Saudi Arabia and UAE, is wheat. So that wheat that leaves that they pull out water from the Persian Sea, Persian Gulf, or they out of their aquifers to water the plants for grass and then for wheat, and then they ship that wheat around the world. and that water's never coming back to that local area. And then as it heats up, you have a thing when you have humidity come over, it will leave that very hot area. It's pushed away, and like we have like it's called a low pressure zone and a high pressure zone. We laughed at Space Force Valley. Yep, yeah, I did. I laughed. The Chinese equipment may not be as good as ours, but no equipment as good as the operators report. That's true too. That's true. That's true. Also, a lot behind should say wood chips over the sand to be thick. Yeah, right, right. They should absolutely have done something like that. But they have that billionaire mindset where the oil's never going to stop flowing and the water's never going to stop flowing. You know, and then when it starts to do, what are they going to do? On contour swales the motions, they have so much money they could make a land fertile again. They should try. What up, mean?
Usually, any challenge in Dubai is met with a flurry of everything is perfect content. But you can't influence your way out of a drought. The lack of transparency is creating a vacuum where rumors are thriving. In the expat WhatsApp groups, stories are circulating of luxury hotels
Hey, hey.
pools full, staring of
Thank
black
you,
market
brother.
water tankers
Hey,
charging 10 times
thank
the
you,
official
brother.
rate.
America.
When the trust in the public utility
America.
disappears,
Thank you,
the
mean.
city's social contract disappears.
Can't they see
with
the
it.
atmosphere? So they do. Yes, we right before this video, I showed that. I showed cloud generation and cloud seeding that they do. So in Dubai, they don't forecast for rain. They forecast for clouds that they can seed to cause rain. 67. Thank you, mean. There you go. Throwing them jewels around. Thank you, brother. The Chinese equipment are actually good. The USA could actually at least compete. They're doing it in Africa. They've done it in China. Just desalinate the Gulf and send the salt to the desert. But then they wouldn't have any, like, they would be draining. There's no water replenishing the Gulf. It's not raining to replenish and whatnot. So then it would just, you'd have a big ass piles of salt. At least some of the salty water is going back. So at least you have some water. But yeah, it's a doom spiral. They flooded the villages of Vietnam in the 1960s. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely they did.
We look at the satellite photos of the region. The contrast is haunting. You see the vibrant blue of the artificial lagoons and the deep green of the golf courses, surrounded by a sea that is becoming increasingly hostile and a desert that is
the
close.
desert is so dry that when it rains, it absorbs quickly. It doesn't run off. Like you want to be able to run off to a basin. They should have built the world's largest basin to fill full of water to catch any extra rainwater that's not just going away, because anything that hits the ground ain't coming back. It's going to take centuries before it gets down to the aquifers. It's all earthworm and organic matter. Canopy helps. Earthworks. There you go.
Closing in. Dubai is fighting a two-front war, one against the salt in the water and another against the heat in the air. By the end of 2026, many analysts predict that the cost of water will surpass the cost of fuel as the city's primary economic burden. The oil for water trade is the only thing keeping the lights on, but as global oil demand fluctuates, even that lifeline is fraying.
Oil for water trade. You watch. We're going to start getting a bunch of very cheap oil in exchange for fresh water. Enlightened centers such as yourself are so annoying. Brother, you're not inviting me. You're not inviting me to your side. You're not inviting me to your side. Why? If you want more people to join you, why would you treat us like that? Yeah, don't you understand? Like, I still want to have a decent life and have friends and compatriots that are at least nice to be around. And you're just like, you're freaking annoying. Okay, well, I guess I won't feel comfortable hanging around with you and learning why I should join your side. But what up, Super Obama? You think they'll pressure the GCC and use fresh water as a commodity? Absolutely. Well, it's not just me. It's whoever sees this. It's whoever sees you act like this and sees leftists not treat centrists in a way. You need us. You need us, or you're not gonna get the votes you need. Right as Dubai is building the next large skyscraper said to be 1 kilometer high. How would they even get the first water over there? So you have to like ship huge freshwater tank. Yeah, they're gonna have to have big ass oil tanker like super tanker ships full of water. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's how I feel, Chance. It's like when the right tries to sway me over, it's like, well, at least they're not like arrogant. And then when the left tries to sway me over, they're like, you're just freaking stupid. But he didn't say why he's right. He didn't say why. He just said, we hate the billionaires. Okay, great. But I'm telling you why a lot of people on the left don't. You act like the fascists and the leftists are the same. I didn't even say that. I'm just talking about how you're acting. You're acting like somebody that doesn't want to talk and hang out and convince people that we should vote the way you want us to vote. Simple, consistent, no fuss is what I'm looking for in a relationship with a Latina or whoever. I deserve prime rib dinners and caviar dreams. Do it, Georgie. That's great. Lame dudes are always shit on the parties and try to stop. Scratch a liberal or a centrist and a flash fascist bleeds. Okay, cool. All right, I'm from San Francisco. There's a reason I went to Texas in 2020. There you go. Yeah. You're gonna have to understand. You attract more flies to shit than you do to sugar.
The end game of the
maybe that's the wrong way.
Is a controlled depopulation. If the city cannot support 4 million people, it will have to decide who stays and who goes. We are already seeing the first signs of this through the utility-based visa restrictions, where residency is becoming tied to the ability to pay exorbitant sustainability fees. The Dubai of the future may be a smaller, even more exclusive enclave for the ultra-rich,
What it is.
while the millions of workers and middle-class expats who built the city are pushed out by the sheer cost of a glass of water. This is the reality they can't hide behind the fountains of the Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa.
The desert doesn't forgive, and the ocean doesn't forget. Dubai's fatal flaw has been exposed. How when the world is watching to see if the city of the future can survive the most basic challenge of the past. The water is running out, the salt is rising, and the mirage is finally starting to evaporate. If you found this investigation into Dubai's hidden crisis important, please hit the like button. It's the best way to help this information reach others before it's too long.
I left San Francisco 2000, never look back. I don't know. My favorite band's Metallica, and I like to work out. Does that sound good, Bully?
Is technology enough to beat the
You
desert,
are a Republican who is
water
scared to
debt
admit it.
Finally due?
I'm a Republican ever since yesterday. And you're not getting us back. The left for so many reasons they don't want me back, and I'm fine with it. Right? Yeah, they're not winning me back. Listen, after freaking Tim Waltz let a child rapist go, pardoned a child rapist who raped a 10-year-old multiple times, I'm a Republican. He said leftists and fascists, yeah, that's the same, but he doesn't know demon roots. I mean, Democrats are the fascists. Right. Democrats are the fascists. Do you believe money should be equal speech corporation? Do you believe money should equal speech and corporations should be equal people? Do I believe that? Do you believe money should equal speech and corporations should be equal people? No, I do not believe that.
If you've noticed changes in the water quality or prices in the Gulf, share your story in the comments below. Your first-hand accounts are the only way to track the truth in real time. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for our next deep dive into the crumbling pillars.
Yeah, so that sucks. That sucks. So Dubai's got it rough. And let me see if I can find this real quick. Population of Saudi Arabia over the last 10 years. When the Nazis stomp on you, maybe you'll see the like you Like Graham Plattner? The elephant tree was pretty cool, shaped like an elephant. It's complex. History reveals everything progressives in the 1910s. The prohibition were led by Zionists who supported the rise of Hitler. Facts. Yeah, Sam. Yeah. The Salty Arabia. Salty Arabia. Okay, so it's 35.1 million. Dubai is in the UAE and not in Saudi. Yeah. But I was talking about the same things happening in Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, I want to say it was at 3.2 million people in like the 1970s, 1980s. It's right around there. And now it's 35.1 million. Did you see the UF videos from that? Yeah. I haven't seen them yet today. Mean. But I did post one of those pictures from the the UFO thing today. So this picture right here, this is one of the UFO pictures that came out of the files today. That's freaking crazy. I said, it looks like those Lego things that we'd build at 4 years old when you just learn how to stick Legos together and you make things that look like this, but it flies. I was like, I knew it would fly. Yeah, nice looking drone. Catch y'all later. UFOs are out the government, obviously. Right, yeah, absolutely. Biggest gang I know. The biggest gang I know. All right, let's go back here. Oops, I broke something. There we go. Love y'all. Love you, Chance, brother. Okay, let's see. Let's go back. I've seen stuff on one event. I've seen some very cool, very cool stuff over my in my time. Aliens wouldn't be so stupid to the point of letting themselves be seen. Do you know Bob Lazar? Yeah. I'm familiar with Bob Lazar. You believe his story or anything's bullshit for the past 30 years. So I think two things can be true. I think he's doing some bullshitting, and I think some of it's true. I think some of the stuff he's seen may not be actual alien craft. They could be other things, and I think he's got things that when looked into, you can find truth to. But I think he also may have gotten addicted to the attention and then pushed it out, like. The Gulf states can't live without AC and desalination, which Iran can end at any time. Right. Very quickly. Very quickly. Them drones, absolutely. Boom. Done. He's doing some bullshit because it's true. And yeah. I agree. He's a narc. All right, let's see. Mandami caught with a meeting. Mandami caught with the meaning of the traders. Bob was paid by the FBI. Lazar interviewed the other guy. I could have explained stuff to you and talked you through it, but I can tell you would best play both sides. Just lick boot. No, you didn't even try to help. You didn't even try. You did not even try. Listen, I was in the movie industry for 15 years. I was on the left. It's people like you that push us away. It's people like you that won't tell us what we're supposed to be looking out for. Just if we don't follow like a good Nazi, then we're going to get our teeth smashed in. Like the way you talk. You didn't even mention one thing besides billionaires. You did not mention one thing. You didn't even try to have a conversation, my friend. You didn't even try. Your YouTube gave you away. Yeah, I live stream for hours every day. People send links all day, and I watch all links on all kinds of stuff on the right and on the left, which people want because I have conversations with people. So that's my algorithm. You didn't even try. I can tell you are a bootlicker trying to act like you are against both sides. brother, I'm going to replace them. You can be whatever side you want, but I'm not hateful. Nah, whatever. You can do whatever you want, brother. Let's see. Eye transplant. Two World Trade Center officially breaks ground. Good. New York needs it. Let's see. Bob Lazar interviewed Travis Walton recently posted on TV. Let's see. Deadly tornado rips through China. Me? I'm against civil forfeiture. Yeah. That's the problem. It's like when I was floating, when I was on the fence, I get a bunch of people that are just so freaking hateful. They're like, well, if you're a fence sitter, I'm like, well, convince me to be on the other side of the fence. And the only thing they can do is tell me how horrible I am. And I find out, like, they keep saying the Republicans are helping the pedophiles, and then the Democrats absolutely just help the pedophile. So there's all of this talk about how the Republicans are this and that, but then the Democrats, the guy that was being installed as the freaking vice president of the United States, it releases a pedophile. Absolutely. Yeah, it's always the same. Guess who has a major contract with World Trade Center 2? You, brother. When I was in Nam, I used to rip elephant tusks from living animals and sharpen them into a steak knives for my barbecue. America. What up, ND? The problem with the left is that they hate you if you don't agree with them 100%. Right, but the problem is they don't even say what they're agreeing with, and they don't even say what they agree with. They just say, like, okay, if you can't read my mind and know what I agree with, then you're stupid and you're hateful. And I'm like, but I don't even know. And that's the problem, is that I've been the industry that I'm from and the unions that I'm from were all left. They're all right now. They're all on the right now. Everybody that I worked with, everybody that I knew, it's all gone. It's all gone. My dad fleeing war in Vietnam so I can make that joke just without being racist. Hey, thanks, Dad. Damn. They're holding on to it. That's not a good idea. Jeez. Damn. It just says China. It doesn't say yet. I'm not sure if Bob Lazar is a government operative. Is the problem. Gone. AI. Oh, there goes the carts. Oh, no. Bam. China. Bam. 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 Think about the amount of food carts used there again. So 2000s. It's a deadly tornado rips through China, leaving trail of destruction, killing 8. Hi.
我操！看这些摊子，我操，全部堆积在一起了。
你看那些摊位全部刮倒了，昨天还有一个灯柜。
我操！
你看人家摊位一下子。
He says manager to be
门开不
specific.
了。
门开不了，一个是他门都开不了，这已经不要这边很好了。
Damn. Yeah, right. You ain't getting a $2 drill bit. Chevrolet. Toyota. Chevrolet. Volkswagen. I wonder if they're actually Chevrolets and Volkswagens or they're just badged. What's up, Dr. Wiener? Damn.
全破了，废了都废了，然后这个什么冰箱
It
也都
ripped the
起飞
door
了。
off the fridge.
一样的，你看我屋里，你看也炸了。
Damn, look at that freaking funnel cloud, dude. Oh, multiple funnels. Jeez. All my entrepreneur patients got combo of oxycodone. China has a lot of weather disasters, but they clean up a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I agree. That China's first spacecraft similar to Starship landed on a boat. I did see that. If that was America, they would probably say Donald Trump's administration guards. Yeah, they would. They would.
龙卷风啊！
Jeez.
我靠！赶快关窗子！我靠！
Man. Maximum performance. Maximum performance.
赶紧进去，赶紧进去！我操！
Damn. Sound like he said World Cup. Maybe he was like, I was watching the World Cup on TV and the power went out. Is Biden still alive? Never see him again. Yeah, he just tried to raise money for his presidential library. He got like 4 million. Obama got like almost $1 billion, $852 million, and Biden got 4 million, even though he got 80 million votes. But this company right here, Rainmaker, you can hire them. You can hire them to make rain, make snow, make droughts end. Well. I think Biden was on The View not too long ago. I don't know. Watch it. Target, deliver, and validate. Cloud seeding delivers moderate, predictable increases in precipitation in the short term, but over the years, the gains can lead to powerful outcomes, restoring ecosystems, recharging aquifers, and reducing wildfire risk. Why didn't California do that? He's definitely, it seems like he might be, ND. So Mitch McConnell dead now or what? Is he going to die first, George Soros? But they're probably downloading his brain into his clone as we speak. When I was a kid, tornado went through my town just south of the house, felled a tree, and it landed between the trailer of my cab dad's 18-wheeler. Wow. Well, he ain't going nowhere after that. Well, I guess maybe he could, if he still could drop the trailer, maybe he could. Cloud seeding has been used for the world for 80 years. We recognize that people have valid questions about how the technology works. We are committed to helping the public understand the truth about what it can and cannot do. I want to know the costs. Merch store. So they have a polar orbiting satellite and X-band radar. That's like what they use in the old school days for police radar detectors. All I know is Biden didn't have long to live, and I have no idea where he's still alive. I'm surprised Soros is too, brother. Best surgeon. What up, Ozzy? Why not? Why did it not Georgia do that for the wildfires? I heard cloud seeding is illegal in Georgia. Let's see. I don't know why California didn't do it. That's what's crazy, considering they're in California, I believe. Yeah, they're in El Segundo, California. So I wonder why they didn't freaking help with wildfires. We're extremely lucky. Only broke the airlines. Oh, the airlines of the truck. Gotcha. Trump and Elon are dating. Absolutely, they're dating. A kiss on the lips. What was I looking up? I forgot. Oh, Georgia. Cloud seeding in Georgia. It's not currently active in Georgia. Friends with benefits. It's close enough. They tested it in the summer of 1977. Georgia does not have an operating cloud seeding program today. They did in 1977, though. No infrastructure, state project permit. So in 1978, I think it was 78 or 73, 78, 1978. You can go if you're like me and you go through congressional records. 93rd Congress in 1973, they had 93rd, 73rd, 83rd, 93rd, 93rd Congress. They had the Weather Modification Act. And they said, hey, if you're a company that's modifying the weather, you got to tell us you're doing it. So they've been doing that for at least that long. I'm in Coweta County, brother. My home almost burnt down in Brantley County. Jeez. I'm in Coweta. I'm a Coweta County boy. Holy crap. Japanese food craftsman. Is he making hot dogs? All I know is people say strip clubs in Atlanta have the best chicken wings. They do. And they got pregnant girls. Freaking so insane. This one job I got doing this IT work, working with the movie industry. When they hired me, they took me to a strip club. I was like, "Jeez, dude, I do not want to be here." I just like 4 pregnant girls were like came out. It's unbelievable. They all walk out in like black dresses, like nice looking gowns, and then they don't anymore. It's like you'd think you'd be like, look, you're pushing 9 months. You better not. Oh, so crazy. Two years ago. Best tornado footage. It's absolutely yeah, I agree. It's vile and disgusting. 100%. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I was like, this is freaking nuts. And she was on top of the stage, like the bar had like a stage. So like you'd move your drinks out of the way. So like don't trip. You're freaking 5 feet off the ground. I gave liberals one thing: they make a hell of a good coffee. I got a coffee today from Starbucks, and it was a liberal chick with a rainbow balloon. It was good coffee. We haven't talked about that one guy. You haven't talked about that one guy Tim Waltz had pardoned for S. I did. Yeah, I mentioned it. I was just talking to this one guy about it right before you came in. But yeah, I got it right here. Hold on. Hold on. Oh. Is it this one? Let me see. View playlist. Oh, where is it? Economics. Like, yeah, scrolling there. Uh,
Just weeks ago, a convicted sex offender,
Look up
and a
Clem
foreign
Tornado,
national,
84-year-old
shielded
going
from
on
deportation by the
window.
governor of
That's what
Minnesota.
That's all right.
Laotian national Tu Li Wang
Yeah.
was
Nah,
convicted
I'm
of
done.
repeatedly
I'm done with the left.
sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Waltz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign sex criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country. This administration will always stand with the American people and defend them from violent criminals.
Bill Cosby. Best looking strippers in Canada. Look up Clem Tornado. Shot by Clem. Wow. United States of America. Soviet Onion. Today I feel like I'm no longer Miss Angela or her drug addict ways. I'm worth more. There you go, Georgie. About time, brother. Jeez. About time. Good. Stay on this path. Nice audio. These microphones, these headphones are really nice. And whatever, I guess maybe he's using a phone, but that camera's got some good audio pickup. You can hear like the really deep, low rumbling. I'm really tempted to agree with bringing back public hangings. Right, I'm down. I'm down. Everything on the screen you can see up the ribbon on the left side near the end. Everything on the screen you can't see. Oh, comes from the left side. Their characters are close. That's all the girl last thing I want to do. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. Jesus. He's keeping it in frame. I don't know. You have to have the right weather conditions to clouds. See, it needs to be clouds to see the silver eyed. All right. Yeah, right. His wife died. She ran to the neighbor's house. He survived with broken ribs. Damn. She should have stayed with her husband. Damn, that came right at him, man. That's unbelievable. That's unfreaking real. That came right at him. Like, just, then you can see that his across the street neighbor's house just get ripped away, and then it goes black. Man, that's freaking rough. That's rough. Colombia, Canada, Canada has beat the best out of stripper. Colombia has some of the most beautiful women in the world. So does Thailand. Thailand strippers, man. We guys want to watch to see if why Africa's not the richest continent.
Hello, and
Hello.
welcome to ZPR ZANU Project Rethink, and my name is Frank ZANU, and I'm going to shoot a monologue that I started, I think, when was it? This Saturday, this weekend. I took the whole of the weekend to prepare this monologue. In fact, I'm still putting down notes, but it moved me so much I couldn't wait. Now let me reveal something to you. I was planning to do this monologue,
in Illinois. I never realized how much untouched land is
I was planning to
Illinois.
do it at the end of this year, to close this year.
America is pretty much empty. It's just we see a lot of the television shows and the news showing the cities, but most of America is empty. Everybody in America could fit into Texas with room. The only problem with Thailand is it actually grow. I was going to come up with a joke like that, but yeah. What is this we're watching? This is Frank ZANU. ZANU Project Rethink, ZPR. He's from Africa. He lives in Connecticut right now, but he's trying to change the narrative by teaching people the actual truth about Africa and let's say racial dynamics, basically.
2026, and I have already been selecting a panel with whom to do it. I wanted to put together a group of Gen Zs from Africa, but this couple of weeks.
Hey, Papa, have you heard about DMSO? Interesting. If you haven't heard about it, for sinus infections, look it up. I watched an aftermath video of a newest tornado. They showed a car for a second floor of the house. They showed a car on the second floor of a house. More Jordan Peterson.
My inbox has been filled with something I'm going to talk about. And then this latest comments left with me, everybody was pushing me to, ZANU, just acknowledge XYZ, acknowledge XYZ. So it pushed me.
You might want to look it up, brother.
That it's timely.
Here, let's do that real quick. Here, listen.
Okay, I'm 75 years old, born in 1950. So when I was in 5, 6 years old, it became clear to me, and my parents had noticed a lot earlier that one of my eyes was non-functional.
We'll find out. Well, look, yeah, educator.
So this went on for some time. I visited specialists, and eventually, when I was 10 years old, they operated on my eye to remove cataracts. And in those days, this is in 1960, they just removed the lens from my eye. So that cleared the cataract, but obviously at that point I was blind, so it didn't matter what they did. I I was unable to see very much, basically a little bit of light and dark, all black, and shapes only, and some movement. I could detect movement if it was fast enough and vigorous enough. So this continued on. I developed, I guess it's called a lazy eye. My eyelid closed. You can probably still see it now. And as I went through life, nothing really changed. And I had a lens replacement in my right eye about 10 years ago. And at that time, the specialist took a look at my left eye and he said, well, if I could do anything, I would, but there's really nothing I can do. So I've just put up with it. It didn't really affect me that badly. I have a little bit of trouble with distance vision because I don't triangulate. And lived a full life. Anyway, recently I had been reading Joseph McCullough, Dr. Joseph McCullough, and I get his daily emails regularly, obviously every day. And
yeah, I think most people do say that, and even when I'm talking fast and my brain's going, I'll say country too. But yeah, it's continent, absolutely. But it should be the wealthiest continent. Absolutely, it should be. The amount of resources it has, the amount of things that it only has, the amount of air, like fertile land, like it should be exporting to the rest of the world. It got minerals galore. I rode my bike lady today up into the full power, an evil creature. I called her an ugly warthog because that's what she looks like, and she called the cops. They didn't arrest me. It's not illegal to be rude. I got Thai strip club. Some of the worst real women now with the lady boys upstairs. Do not go up the stairs. Don't go up the stairs.
Because I find it quite interesting. I've always had my suspicions about the medical establishment and Big Pharma. And so I read what he said. I've been reading it probably since before COVID, and watched him getting vilified by the authorities during COVID. Anyway, through McCullough, I became aware of the existence of a Midwestern doctor. And when I started reading his articles on McCullough, I found them very enlightening and very eloquent and beautifully written, beautifully researched. I found it very impressive that somebody devoted that sort of time and effort to doing what he does. Anyway, his articles on DMSO stood out. I was having sinus troubles at that point.
Both
not allergies. I don't think it was just something that bothered me. My nose was consistently running, so I thought, oh, well, I'll try the DMSO. And I found that about 10%
just listen.
DMSO was...
This is just one of the anecdotal stories. There's a lot. There's a lot with detached retina, DMSO. Just listen.
Tolerable.
I guess you can't watch. Oh, just I'm playing.
If I
just listen.
Put it in a neti pot or Neilmed, I think is the plastic squeeze bottle that I found. I'd used it before. And if I cut it down to 10%, it didn't sting too much. So I used that, and it cleared my sinuses instantly. I still had a little bit of a problem, but much reduced. And I'd been using that for about 2 months. And I became aware of the fact that I could see color with my left eye, which I found to be interesting. And I attribute it then and still do to using DMSO in my sinuses. And so I've continued with it, except that I apply it to my eyelid, top and bottom, on a daily basis. Just wipe it on with my finger. And it's continued to improve the sight of my left eye. I can see color quite distinctly now. I can see detail. I obviously can't read. I can count fingers, which I could never do before. And it's improved to the point where I can cover up my right eye and walk around the house without running into things. I can see well enough to navigate around the house. clearly I know the house since I've lived here for 30 years. However, I can see and avoid bumping into tables, and I can go through doors without hitting the sides and so forth. So it has to be reasonably good light. At night, I can see lights, but I can't see shapes. But in the dead of night, you can't anyway. So I find it amazing that I can now see with my left eye. It's doubtful that it will ever be particularly useful to me, since the lens was removed when I was 10 years old, and the development of the optic nerve, which apparently normally takes place in the first few years of your life,
didn't see that
take
coming.
place. So I doubt that I'll ever regain that sight, and it's probably not possible for my brain to interpret two images into binocular vision, so I doubt it'll ever be useful. But the DMSO has definitely improved the sight in an eye which was blind for 75 years, which I find to be unbelievable.
So that's pretty freaking cool. And the thing is, it's like it's and I want you to take that seed and develop that out, because there's a lot of very interesting data out there about things like DMSO, and we'll stick with DMSO for a second. And it working like a steroid in some sort of way, telling your cells to undo what they did or redo what they should have done, depending on which way you think about it. And understand that you have an actual physical issue, but the body's an amazing freaking thing. Here, let me see if we can find one more real quick. I understand I'm boring the hell out of people, but if you can get any kind of oops, wrong button. Wrong button. Okay, let's see. And this is what I hate about AI. This is what I hate about AI. The AI tells you right now there's absolutely no clinical evidence that DMSO can treat, heal, blah, 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 blah. And then you go down to the first one. Oh, dimethyl sulfide used in the treatment of retinal disease. It's freaking, and this paper is from 1975. But the AI says there's absolutely none. So most people would just stop there. DMSO is amazing, and it comes with trees turning the ball. Yep, I got a lot of it. The subproduct of stem cells, everything to do with no. It's from a tree bark. And it's been used in veterinary. I learned about it when I was 25 years old, working with a woman who worked with racehorses. So when there's money on the line with animals, they will give them compounds and do things for them that they will not do for us, because the animals can't pay unless they win. We can pay because we can work to pay. So the chemistry that's used, the pharmacology that's used on veterinary animals, is not transferred over to the human side because they don't want it to be a one and done thing. You put DMSO on a cut, be next. Yeah, it's great stuff. I use it. My parents use it, and people that I care about, that talk about, they use it too. I've got a nice freaking pint. It's a cobalt blue bottle. You want to keep it away from light, but it'll burn you. It'll burn you. And the reason that I heard that the government doesn't, or the pharmacology the government says, is because sometimes using high doses can give you the taste or the smell, like you taste like you have garlic in your mouth. And they say they don't know why that happens, so it can't be used on humans because it make you taste like you have garlic in your mouth. It's very, very cheap. You can get it anywhere. You can probably get it from, I mean, I got mine off the internet, but, the big one, but I used to get it down here in Maryland. I used to get it in Maryland, but, you can go to herb shops, herb stores, like hippie type herb stores, you know? Yeah. Go where you would go to get freaking any of your other herbs. Google told me it's industrial solvent. Yeah, right. Yeah, they absolutely don't. And there's a lot. So this is 1975. Okay. Uh, oh, there's no abstract available. All right, so I can't get the digital version here for free. It's homeopathy. Yes, yeah, and you could get it from the herb store, the place that you would go to get freaking your vitamins and whatnot. It's not expensive. The funny thing is, took the MSO out of the stores for humans. I'll sell it in feed stores like Wilco. It can unalive you, but it can't. It can unalive you, but it can't. Right. Yeah, it can kill you. Right. Things that can kill you, you can get no problem. But stuff that can help you, it's very difficult to get. So it's used on shin splints and stuff like that for racehorses. If racehorses had shin splints, they like rub it on the horse's shins. And one of the interesting things about DMSO is it will bring across your skin anything that's mixed in with it. So if you don't like injections, you can mix different compounds with DMSO, diluted DMSO, and rub it on your skin, and it will absorb it through your skin. So there's ways like transdermal patches have often use things like DMSO to help it bring whatever compound across the skin if it's not like normal stuff that won't absorb. And I have a bunch of vitamins that use DMSO so that I can put them on my skin and they'll absorb through my skin rather than taking them, like if they're bitter or whatnot. But yeah, but I can't bring this one up because they don't have. But the paper is dimethyl sulfoxide in the treatment of retinal disease. Tastes like claims to me. Yeah. No, well, it could burn you so I dilute it 10-1. And you can dilute it more than that. And when you put it on your skin, it's warm. It warms up. It warms up. You're like, wow, that's warm. But yeah, it's kick ass up. I love clams and garlic. So it's right up my alley. You got DMSO there? Yep, I do too. I got a freaking cord of it. I got a lot of things too that I don't know if this has it in it right here. But I have a vitamin D. Is it D3? Okay, vitamin the K2, MK4 has DMSO, so it brings the vitamin across the skin, puts it into the tissues rather than into the digestive tract. Good for eye floaters, right? And there's and so what a lot of the anecdotal evidence is you dilute it down like 10-1. And then you like put it on your top and bottom eyelid. This guy made, and I actually have, this is a nasal spray bottle, kind of like Afrin or whatnot. But this right here is colloidal silver. And this is what's used for like treatment resistant bacteria, like bacterial infections or sinus infections, because it's just silver and water. And then it'll kill the bacteria because silver is antibacterial. And you can also get them empty from the same type of shops. It's definitely it's just something worth looking at. I just another super tip for everyone: if you have any mosquito problems, rub a little bit of vanilla on your skin. They won't go any other stuff. I didn't think so. I was pointing at the iron. No, I got you. Yeah, I got you. Please play the voice for our texting. I rub it in my eyelids 10%. There you go. What voice? Is it kind of weird? It's kind of weird after you put it on your cut and sore knees after a few minutes to have a clammy taste in your mouth. Yeah. I don't experience the taste. Maybe I don't use high enough dilution. DMSO and taste in your mouth. Oops, I keep hitting the wrong freaking button. Experience a garlic or onion taste is an extreme common harmless side effect of using DMSO. This happens very rapidly, often within minutes, whether the compound is applied to the skin or ingested. DMSO is rapidly absorbed into your bloodstream and metabolized into your body. A sulfur compound, your body excretes DMS through the breath and lungs, triggers the nerves in your mouth that register like a garlic or metallic flavor. The taste, along with corresponding garlic-like breath and body odor, can linger for 24 to 72 hours. Yeah, it readily carries any impurities or toxic substances it contacts directly through the skin and into your bloodstream. Wash your hands in the application area before using, right? Because anything that's mixed with it, it'll absorb it through your skin. It's good for a lot of stuff. Well, I love the garlic. I'm so fine. Play the voice, please. No. That's only when I'm on my phone. The best type of DMSO is the kind that has the roller ball on top of it. Yeah, I've had that too. Yep. Can you send a shout out to Mike's Crack House? Shout out Mike's Crack House. Okay, that's it.
To do it now that I'm passionate about. So Saturday, I didn't go anywhere. Sunday, I didn't go anywhere. Yesterday, I had to go to work, so I couldn't work on it. And today, I was able to get my cameraman. I said, let's do it. But before I start, those of you who have been asking for the ZPR mechanized, it's out here now. My first ZANU Project Rethink, I Am a Rethinker t-shirt is up on Etsy, ETSY, for those of you who know the platform. It's the easiest way, the fastest way, the best customer service for me to send it to you, Etsy.com. Go on, just do ZANU Rethinkers and be the first to own ZANU
it's not RuPaul.
I Am a Rethinker t-shirt. This coming weeks, there's going to be a baseball cap, ZANU Project Rethink, I'm a Rethinker, followed by a coffee mug, and on and on. I think it's time members of the Rethink community should start having that brand. And I'm very proud to wear it with all of you. Thank you. Well, right now, let's get into it.
I haven't seen this season.
The letters
no spoilers. I promise, Chris. No spoilers.
I think some of my viewers misunderstand me. They said I'm too harsh on Africa. I don't say anything good about Africa. And they asked me to think about, if not because Western countries have been looting their minerals, Africa,
they should rethink their marketing plan.
Or some of them.
Listen, dude, they should rethink whoever chose the font for that. I'm a rethinker.
And will say to me, ZANU, admit Africa is the richest continent, if not because the Westerners have been stealing our mineral resources. And they want me to acknowledge that. Somebody wrote me a lengthy email filled with a couple of, expletives here and there.
You out. Gotcha.
Daring me to do an episode simply to acknowledge Africa is the richest continent on earth, but only because the Western countries have been stealing our mineral resources or the minerals, that is why it's poor. So I decided I have to do it now. They said, Africa, now you will forgive me. This is the first time a monologue that I'm going to be looking on the notes. I took quite a lot of notes because that's how it hit me. That's how the inspiration came. And I have to make sure I have the...
Right. So the theory is, or what's taught, the history that's taught is Africa is, Mansa Musa had so much gold that it destroyed the gold around the world because he was the richest African ever. It was unbelievably wealthy. But what happened to that? What happened to that gold? Why is it gone now? Why is there no documentation of it? And then Africa was doing really good until the colonialists, the colonizers came in and then destroyed everything. And then now that they're gone, they just keep stealing everything. So that's why Africa's so poor. But it sets up the victimizer mindset for everybody to say, oh, if I even build anything, the colonizers will just take it from me. And I haven't heard this monologue yet, but we'll hear it together.
The numbers and the dates.
And he doesn't play that. He's like, look, guys, you have to actually think. You have to understand that the stuff you've been taught is not true. You're taught this so the leaders that lead you will get your votes and get your backing, because they'll just keep saying, we'll undo what the colonizers did and we'll be rich again. And then they end up stealing their leaders steal everything from them. They have to make excuses because they don't want to face the actual truth, which is sadly low IQ. And whatever the reason is, they don't want to face it.
Correct. All right.
So he's the voice of reason. Yes,
if
yes, he's the voice of reason.
The notes, yes, that's one required.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Subscribe to this guy. I'll put the link in the chat here too. Yeah, he's great. He's absolutely great. And he doesn't take no crap from anybody, like everybody that tries this, like, and he's freaking brilliant. Like, if he was an American born, he should be in line for president. He's freaking really, really, really smart.
For me to read.
And no nonsense. Don't say anything for your feelings. He's going to tell you what's going on, and because he thinks that the reason that everybody's in a bad way is because of the lies. Super intelligent, keeps it real. Yeah, definitely. Shiny head, right? You can see the knowledge reflecting off of his shiny head.
It's a very severe dichotomy. I don't even know how to label this particular dichotomy to say a place is rich, but the people live in squalor. How is that? How does it square? It's impossible. It just doesn't sound proper. That a place is rich, but the people are flying out in droves, running away from hunger, disease, and pure desperation for life. How is that possible? It's not possible. If a place is rich, it's rich. The people will be rich. They will live well and have the best things in life.
Everybody in Africa was as bright as Frank.
Look at Africa the way it is because it's not rich.
I agree.
It's not good at all. And
but he ran away too. He visited a lot of places. He's been around the world. He's been to a lot of the countries in Africa. He's been to South Korea, Japan, a bunch of other places. I mean, he's mentioned I want to say over 50 places. Mike.
Africa is not a continent that is rich in mineral resources. We must stop that. Now, let me tell you, whoever created it was not intentionally lying to people. No. He looked around, he heard it from some Western economic writers who have never stepped foot on the continent and simply think that when you look at the tropical of the continent, it must have a lot of natural resources, therefore it's a rich place. And somebody picked it and another one picked it. No one has done any research. You will never find in any book, anywhere, any journal, where somebody has taken the pain to quantify what is the minerals you're talking about in Africa. And out of the 54 countries, how many of them are
It was first colonized by British, and then the countries of resources have been sold out to China through Chinese trap jet lines only. Let's hear what he says.
In West Africa alone, I can just tell you, when you talk about any useful mineral, Ghana is known for gold, Ivory Coast for ivory, and then diamond in the Sierra Leone, Liberia area. Benin has nothing. Gambia has nothing. Liberia has nothing. Sierra Leone has nothing. They said they have diamonds, diamonds and diamonds. When was the last time you saw a container full of diamonds leaving Sierra Leone? Listen, what I'm saying is this. Somebody coined this and we all started repeating it. But what he's doing is a big harm to the leaders of tomorrow. They believe it. And when they believe this, they are waiting for the thief to stop stealing the minerals so they can automatically become rich.
Right. And then the people that live among them that end up being their leaders say, when I get in power, I'll stop that thievery and we'll all be rich again. And they keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Now, China definitely has something to do with it. But as a continent, Africa could be growing a lot of stuff and shipping stuff out. But as for that, they have very small pockets, which are, Trey was correct, the Chinese absolutely take a lot of what's in China. But the problem is they need the Chinese equipment and managerial skills to extract the goods at any volume that's worth exporting. If you tell everybody we're going to kick out the Chinese, we're going to kick out the French, the Americans, then we'll do it ourselves, then they still have to go to other countries to get the equipment, and they need that on a loan. So then they say, okay, you need the equipment to get it out of the ground. You need to be able to refine stuff. I'm not giving you $10 billion worth of equipment. You're going to give me $15 billion worth of stuff, worth of material, minerals or whatever over the next 10 years or whatever the loan rate and time is.
No one is tapping into his or her potentials any longer because, you see, we are rich, but somebody is stealing the minerals. If we can wait a little bit, some politician like Ibrahim Traoré or some other of his folks in the Sahel region would start stopping the thief, and suddenly we'll be okay. Guys, the statement is not true at all. And let me declare, Africa is the poorest continent. And I'll come to tell you that. Please, this is an episode that I read my own notes and I almost had tears in my eyes. Africa is the poorest continent. You don't have to worry at all when you take a look at the continent and see why it has not been able to use the three things that every country used to industrialize their environment, why Africa has not done it. And that has nothing to do with minerals in the ground. Nothing. Everything that they needed. I said it in some of the episode already, so I'm boring you with it, but I have to repeat it this time. It's water, land, solar, energy, water, and land. From Japan all the way to wherever you can say. Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, Finland.
Denmark, and
they don't export minerals to any place. They use these three things. Those three things are also natural resources. Water is a natural resource. Land is the most expensive natural resource. And solar is a natural resource. I have said it in many, no one has stolen those things. Japan has no gold, diamond, uranium, you name it. Doesn't even have energy source. It tapped into its land, the remaining tiny land left, Japan tap into it. Tap into its solar. Tap it into its garbage and water. And industrialize that country. Do you know why Africa has not been able to? There is no one single African country. The complaint you hear all the time, in addition to corrupt politicians and a very hard life to live, is the absence of water, is the absence of farming and agriculture. Please ask yourself. And the absence of energy.
As we speak right now. The problem is they don't take care of it. They don't even care for the Chinese debt track loans. China ends up owning the infrastructure. Right. No, I agree with you on that stuff, on like the cobalt and whatnot, and the little bit of diamonds that you can still find and whatnot. Most of the diamond mines are completely empty now, and they just have artisanal miners there looking through the scraps and trying to find stuff. But they're not doing what they should do. They don't have the water to do the farming, and they don't have it set up. I'm sure he'll get into it. But that's the thing. Everybody on that continent should be a farmer. Every family, everybody should be a farmer. Absolutely. And then they could start with barter and then keep themselves alive and thriving that way. Then set up schools to teach everybody else what they need to do in the community. But everybody's just sitting around waiting for a politician. And now American politicians are trying to take that same path, saying, look what it did. We got everything out of Africa and the rulers are now rich. We can be the rich rulers of America if we can make everybody just dependent on their sustenance from the government. Everybody has a little plot of land that they live on. They could be growing whatever they need to grow and make it, and they're not. No one's doing it. They import eggs. Lamau, that's what he was wrong. Japan has their own energy. What is he talking about? I think he was talking about at the beginning. Took $30,000 start my own crack house. Best investment ever. They could even start growing trees 50 years ago. They're multimillionaires on a loan. I think he's talking about before. He's talking about in order to industrialize. He's saying it before industrialization. They had sun, they had water, they had land, and then they took the three things: water, sun, and land, and industrialized their country with that. And we'll keep going and see what the issue is.
The only continent that has not been able to harvest those three things abundantly like all other places have done in order to industrialize its environment, it's Africa. Land, water, solar energy. Three things only you need. Those are natural resources, not the ones in the ground. So I'm going to go in to tell you why that continent has not been able to develop those three things. I'm going to tell you shortly. And you would agree with me.
Could you read out the digits of pi 3.141591268?
Listen, I am not here to give you
as far as I can go, brother.
People ask me all the time, and I promise you one thing. If after listening to this episode, this monologue, you still ask me what is the solution.
Look at South Korea. They had dirt bros 60 years ago, and now they're top technology.
You do not need a solution, because even if I bring it on a silver platter, you are not going to recognize it. If you don't see the solution in what I'm going to say today, you don't have the intellectual ability to understand what you need to do. These very do it for me, it's what has kept us where we are, and people have learned to feed us with their own conclusion. Why would you be asking me for a solution? Why? You think when Socrates spoke, they asked him for the solution? Or the guy who doubted the shape of the earth, they asked him for the solution? If that alone didn't kick you up to say, wait, let me think differently, then you don't need a solution. And no wonder, you got to remain where you are. So let me start. There is something called intel. Please, this is the very important part. There is something called intel in the military sector. They call it intel, military intel. All the espionage agencies, the CIA, the KGB, Mossad, the French Legion, SAS, they all need it. And they pay lots of money for it. Intel is a short form, a military short form for intelligence. And what is intelligence? Intelligence simply means information. So when you hear military intelligence, MI6, MI5, they are talking about agencies in the espionage agencies of the UK who is specialized in the collection of information about adversaries, their location, threats, the terrain, the weather, the climate, everything they need to know about an adversary. Here, I wrote it down so that I don't get it wrong. Military intelligence refers to only the information that is collected about adversaries. You got to know everything about your enemy in order for you to prepare and build your own military and your own systems in order to be able to combat, defend, or offend that enemy. So that is military intelligence. So the word intel simply means intelligence, and intelligence means information, data. Information means when you know something, a lot of things about something. That is information. So that is for military intelligence. And if there is military intelligence, then I submit there should be natural intelligence, which means information which scientists have collected plenty of it. Meaning that any group of people, any society where the people have collected enough intelligence, information about natural resources, those are the societies that tend to flourish, industrialize, and develop, and their people live a good life, good life, physically, providing the three basic things of life: proper shelter, proper clothing, and food. That follows with food include medicine and schools and everything.
Because the government officials at the top in African countries only have enriched themselves, not bring their own people. Right. Right. They shouldn't have to, is what he's getting at. The government shouldn't have to. The people should say, what's going on in these other countries, and let's do that. Let's go gather some intel and then make it happen here. We don't have water. We don't have dams. How do we make a dam? Rather than saying the government needs to make us a dam. How do you start? How do you start on the lowest level? Start it and then attract the attention of the government to get infrastructure done.
Because how were they able to develop their environment or industrialize their environment? They use those three things: solar, water, air, and the earth, land. They have information about water. So much that they didn't just call it water.
H2O.
They didn't just call it water. They were able to study this particular element, which is the only one, of course, among all the natural resources that doesn't have a scientific name. But they were able to study water, and water became known, which is, when I say, sorry, not water, the earth, the crust, the real earth on which we stand with the loose soil on it. It's the only one among all the natural resources that doesn't have a scientific name. But they were able to study it through what is called pedology. Pedology allows scientists to study the loose soil.
How come you never see hippos sitting in the trees?
Almost 12 different types.
Because they're too damn good at
they
it.
They knew the type of soil
John Goldbody.
that are
Aren't dams built by
fertilizing
governments?
But
aren't dams built by governments? It's all the dams built by governments. Now, yes, in industrialized nations, yes, absolutely, in industrialized nations. But what should happen is the people should say, hey, everybody, the government isn't doing this, but in other countries they do this. It does it like that. Let's start making bricks. They absolutely can make bricks. Let's make an earthen dam. They get the water they need. They learn how to carve chasms to bring the water closer to where they want the food. And they start doing that on their own to then start an area small, maybe like a half an acre, less than that, and start showing that they can grow. Then the government will say, I can capitalize off of this. Then the government will invest. But what always happens is they keep saying the same thing over and over again, and they want the people to be dependent on the government. And the government's not going to, the money that the government's putting into their own pockets, they don't want to build a dam. So you got to do it yourself. And then show that we can farm this land. Then the government would say, okay, how can I enrich myself off of this? I'll take some government money, make a bigger dam, and then irrigate this area, start growing a bunch of crops, and we can export a bunch of crops. And in there, I can stick a bunch of money into my pockets. But they have to start doing it. They have to show, because the government is from them own people. They're not Americans. They're not freaking European. Londoners and whatnot come, running their country. It's their own people that end up getting into those positions of power. And we're like, hey, what in my town, we built a small dam, a couple irrigation canals, and that's how we fed the village. And none of that's happening because those people will end up, one of those people will end up being in a position of power. But they just keep doing the same thing. Their government is dependent on other governments. So then other governments have to give money to Africa, and then they enrich themselves. And that's just the role. You have to finally have somebody that can see what their people can do and then get them into power and say, okay, where I'm from, we have this. You almost had it right, John.
They're so good at hiding it.
Allow for very expansive farming or agriculture. They knew the type of soil that are not good for you to build anything solid. They studied it through pedology. And then water. They didn't simply call water water. They had to give it a scientific name, H2O.
Hydrology.
Why? Why wasn't just calling this liquid that flows in the form of a lake, in the form of a river, in the form of an ocean, from the rain that pours from above, from the aquifers that are hidden in the rocks beneath you. Why didn't they just call it water? Because calling it water would have reduced the knowledge about water to simply, oh, drink it when you're thirsty, cook with it, and wash your skin. So they went on to collect information about this very important element, water. And to know that this liquid here can do far way more than just cooking and bathing and washing, they call it H2O. That simply scientific name they gave it meant they studied this liquid for many years in order to have that name. You know why they have to have a scientific name? So that other people in other societies can also share that information if they have written languages to understand it. So they can also use that liquid for many, many different things. Today in Japan, so somebody sent me a video, I will share it with you later on. They have studied how to pressurize water to the point they can cut a whole building with pressurized water. Water, they have used it to generate hydro energy. Water has been used in many ways, frozen, to use for many things.
This guy is very smart. It's H2O's chemical makeup of water.
They also have understood that
that's true. They also have to do with the fact sub-Saharan Africa.
It's never too dirty to be drunk. That you can tap your kitchen, your bathroom water all the way through systems, make them pure.
Yeah, he definitely ain't a scientist. He definitely not a chemical scientist. He's definitely a philosopher, I would say, and definitely an educator. Maybe not in and he's also translating to English. He doesn't speak English natively, so give him a little bit of grace, brother.
Back again into your household. This is what they've been able to do with this because of the amount of information they've collected about this one particular thing. Now let's go to the sun. The sun, they couldn't find one simple language, scientific name. So they nicknamed it the yellow dwarf, or G2V, V as in Victor. And they were able to understand that this thing hanging up there was not some God's creation that cannot be changed. No, they believe they can change it. That's why they studied the sun. They came to find out how far the distance the sun is from the earth. They also were able to calculate the speed it requires for anything or anybody to be able to go, how fast it travels, its location, everything about it. God didn't give it to them. It wasn't written in the Bible. They studied it and they came up with the yellow dwarf, or soul, as in the Greek word, solar. And because of that, they don't wake up in the morning and just pray to it, that the sun just gives warmth. No, more than that. So the societies were able to scientifically study the three natural resources, namely earth, soil, solar up there, and water. But then you can throw in air. Air is also breaking into different limits. We have the CO2, we have the all kinds of things, nitrogen and everything involved in just simply saying air. We think, oh no, it makes us to breathe so we can sleep well. Now, let's ask ourselves.
They typically have village mindset, like Somalians have the same mind. They always have the Somali thought out 68 found to 70.
The mineral
70
resources
IQ
you
is
claim people are stealing from you. Is there any one single African society that has been able to study these natural resources and come up with its own scientific names and know more than just what they think nature put it here to do? Is there any? No, there is none. No wonder we are the only continent whose relationship with water is simply to drink and wash our skin. Enough. If you have it in yellow jerry cans, you're fine. No single country by the indigens have been able to advance the use and the reuse of water. We don't have information about nature. What an irony. The very continent
what fight?
That if you look at it, you will think, oh, this is where we must understand nature, Africa. It's the very continent
girl fights
that has limited information about nature. That is severely interesting. Listen, I mean it. Do you know that wildlife, if anyone wants to go anywhere to study wildlife, they go to Africa. Kenya is one of them, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, you name it, South Africa, Zimbabwe.
But UFC is kind of good. Sweaty dudes fighting in a cage. It's an octagon.
Who have no information about wildlife, nature. When I was growing up, we have superstition about every reptile in my neighborhood. Oh, I've seen grown men with PhD running helter-skelter because a lizard was walking by. Or anything that is a reptile and creeps. Africans have a superstition about it. The wall gecko. Those of you who are 60 years old, I think right now they still do it. We stone anything we don't eat to death. Chicken, sheep, goats, we kill them. We're going to kill them one day for food. Everything else, we stone them. You see kids chasing a lizard, a gecko, or anything and stoning them to death. A snake, forget it. We don't even care to know, are you a garden snake? No, it's not a garden snake. It's a snake. We have no information.
Just wanted to see if Connor.
Not long ago, when I used to take the students to Benny, we were all playing one day.
Gable Stevenson remains undefeated. What up, freak out?
We talk about snake, and every one of it. We were all, including myself. This snake was coming down the tree, and we run. Fast forward, I came back here, and I went to speak in a high school in a predominantly white town. And I went down when during the break they were showing me hobby centers, and the students were in a place holding snake. And he was telling me it's a green snake, and what it does in wet area and what it does in dry area, on. And I was like, whoa, interesting. They asked me if I would touch it. No, I don't want to touch it. You understand? And I'm going to tell you something that is quite very interesting. When I was talking about natural intelligence, I was talking about natural intelligence having information about the external nature, the earth, water, and solar. But there is another internal nature that many societies have succeeded.
Whenever I have the time to do anything like watch a movie or watch it, I just I stream. I haven't sat down and watched anything that I've sat down and watched. I've watched with you folks. I'll catch the highlights. I didn't even watch the UFC fight at the White House. I caught the highlights. I'm hearing Bahrain and Kuwait is firing missiles at Iran. Jeez. Bahrain and Kuwait firing missiles at Iran. 3 days ago, 2 days ago, 2 days ago, 4 days ago, 2 days ago. It might be on the yeah, they haven't updated anything yet. Yeah, Iran's in some trouble, that's for sure. Man, listen, I hope the people get free. That's what I hope, man. Most sports events are rigged. Yeah, absolutely. The people don't hear the Italian mafia names very much anymore. Most people that you talk to, young kids don't even know what they are. I think it's just from the movies. But they're absolutely involved in all sports betting apps and a lot of players are involved making money. Why do you think a lot of these players go as broke as they do, as quick as they do? It ain't because they bought a couple of cars and stuff with a freaking $100 million account. No. They gamble that money away. Must be really recent. Benny Johnson just reported on it. All right, we'll check it out. Let me see if anything popped up.
To gather a lot of information. It took an American in 1939, I think, to go to Germany and study under Gestalt, the founder of psychology. And Americans took psychology from Germany, brought it to the United States, but they made it specific to the United States, behavioral psychology.
Yeah.
America is
1 hour ago. U.S. launches strikes against Iran. We'll look into it.
The best. What does it do? It collects information about how our psyche, that internal nature of human beings work.
They're actually saying that the cartel is one of the ones called OJ's ex-wife.
At the least, in fact, there is no institution in any country in Africa that has the study of the human nature. We don't. Now somebody will be asking, so what? You know, societies understand that nature can be controlled. Those are the industrialized countries.
This is what I think also. I think you have a people that do not have the spirit to dissect nature, to dissect it, to say what can be done with everything. You either protect yourself from the stuff that's going to hurt you, or eat the stuff you can eat and live with the people that you live. And like, you have all of those countries in that continent, and there's not, you know, you might get very, very, very few books that are typically written to sell to the people that are going there on safari or educational and photographic safaris. You don't have a lot like this. And it needs to start with education. There needs to be more schools set up everywhere, and there's so much racism, anti-colonialist rhetoric that they won't take any help, and even they just turn down the French's help. And so they need to, some group in Africa needs to get a bunch of data together and start a school. Like they need to sit down and determine what's needs. The problem is, once the people get out of their local tribe and make it into government, they never want to go back to disseminate the information back down. And often they end up corrupt. So if they went back, they'd be killed anyway. You know, they wouldn't say, okay, I was in office for 4 years. This is what I learned. Now I'm back with you all. So this is what we should do. This is what they do in America. This is what they do. This is what they do there. It just doesn't, they don't pass down the information. The first letter, Paul, the Puerto Rican Jesus danced salsa, forgave all the perverted bachata. Bachata? The bachata? Freaking John Gobani. Iran can't have a nuke because they think they launched it off and nuke the Usher and the Messiah. Yeah, right. For whoever they like that, so they think they're a pedophile prophet. Yeah, and that's an issue too. And you know what?
Those are the industrialized environments. They know it as a belief system. Nature is not something God created and cannot be controlled. Nature can be controlled. Those people succeed in industrializing their environment. Then there is the monochronic, there is a polychronic cultures that believe that anything God has created cannot be controlled by man. They believe in predestination. Africa is one of them. Middle East is another one that believe that things are preordained. They don't believe nature can be controlled. Well, nature can be controlled, including even the human nature. Today, in Japan, in China, in Germany, anger has been studied so much. But you must understand, anger is just one of the natural emotions of man, just like happiness. That's why they are able to create the laughing gas automatically, artificially. If somebody accidentally releases it, everyone would start laughing. Nature can be controlled. You've seen it with what they have done with waterways, turning water into energy. In fact, not long ago, there was a company that was looking to
Did you see the
design
interview with the jurors, the OJ trial?
one of the biggest reflectors, like in the form of aluminium shield, humongous, like a whole football field. And that it will be sold to companies and to countries who want it, especially.
I saw that, Trey. Yeah, the interview with the jurors that said, yeah, it was payback for Rodney King.
Countries where they have extended
and where you're at, Papa Bear, right? Like, so I think it has something to do with having a winter. I've said this before. I think it has to do with having a winter. Like in the Middle East, they don't have to worry about the winter either, and they also don't advance. Other areas advance, and then they take it over. Like they take it over, and I think that's why there's such a big scare with the Middle Easterners coming into the UK and into America. It's like, instead of like the Middle East wasn't developed until oil was found, and then other countries came in and said, hey, this stuff's worth something, we'll make you, we'll help pay, or by taking, with trade, by pay contract, we'll help you build this up, and then created that system for them. But the people that aren't in the cities, the big cities, they're the ones that are leaving for a better life, and then they just follow the same rules of the past to say, okay, now we're here, now we want this to be like, because they don't understand maintenance. And if you don't understand maintenance, then you can take over something that's already built and it'll just be there forever.
Dark and cold. Example is Alaska and Iceland. They will then send it to, like the same way you launch, what do they call it? The sky laboratories, spacecraft. And it will be hovering there, and they can control it with a remote pad so that it would reflect the sun towards that country for them to gain more sunshine than before. It's possible. I'm sure it's in the studies. They will be able to do it. Artificial rain. Yes, they've been able to do it. In fact, during the Beijing Olympics, but you need to understand this since I'm talking about, to show you that nature can be controlled, and it has been controlled only, but those societies who have succeeded to create enough intelligence, harbored enough information about nature. They said the Chinese were going to delay the rain. The opening day of the Beijing Olympics, they miscalculated by, I think, 2 minutes, and there was going to be a drizzle. The Chinese wouldn't like it. So according to them, they quickly have already planted some, I don't know what it is, but some gaseous things they could shoot into the atmosphere, maybe create some condensation to delay the rain by at least 14 minutes. Can nature be controlled? Yes. That is why they are able to take a man and within 6 or 8 months make him grow boobs, and his voice and Adam's apple would vanish, his elbows would become smooth, and he can do what is called sex transformation. Now, you might disagree with me. Oh, it's not, it doesn't function like that. I am telling you just simply what we have seen people have been able to do. Scientists. Oh, yeah, we have what is called
Mother Nature cannot be controlled by humans. Weather manipulation and negative environmental contributions do not entail controlling nature. I think what he was getting at is, like, you can gather the water from a river to make a dam. You can get information, extract the information. I understand what you're saying, but I think what he's trying to get at, he's trying to explain why the information, why written language is so important, and why sub-Saharan Africa hasn't self-industrialized. He's talking about cloud seed, I think. I think he was talking about solar reflections. Like using, he was saying in like tribal Africa, the sun is something to warm you, not something that can provide power, that you can start fires with, that you can boil water with, that you can do to industrialize yourself to move along. That's my cat. Hush. Go get something to eat. Good enough to have the ever live is storm. Are you good? Are you enough for heaven? Ever solar lied, lusted, or hated for anyone before? Haven't we all, Clark? How you doing, brother? I ain't seen you in a while. Where you been?
Pacemaker, heart. They've taken it from one person and given it to another. People from polychronic cultures who believe in fatalism would never ever think that they should even study if a heart can be transferred, a liver can be transferred. No. So gene science will never happen in places that believe in predestination by the Creator.
Jesus was the only perfect
Is it
human.
possible that it has left those from those regions in a very, very natural state? Look at anger in Africa, for example. Just look at anger. Look at anger among the black race, simple anger. We go from 0 to 60. And God, what we do within that period when we are angry, sometimes is comparable only to what you will find in a jungle. Because we have not collected any information about the human makeup, especially our psychology. Many countries, including Japan and Germany, use curriculum to introduce anger management, lust management, and on and on. They believe they can control the human being, and they do, through military intelligence and military psychology. They do. Now here is the kicker of this monologue. And when you hear what I'm going to introduce to you, now you have to rethink.
The gods must be crazy. Anybody ever watch that?
When
not every person says,
the
Lord,
sky, it can only have come from the gods.
Heaven, and then continue in sin. Jesus Christ, Matthew 7.
Of course, the gods only send good and useful things. However, this time they made a mistake. The gods must be crazy. The unusual story of Key the Bushman as he travels to the edge of the earth to return the god's mistake.
So this is like the Lord of the Rings.
A most unpredictable journey.
Be as perfect as Father in heaven is perfect. Jesus Christ, Matthew 5:48. I'm really surprised the Jews today don't believe that Jesus saved all the ones that killed him.
A dedicated scientist,
believe it. That's
a tree bearing strange fruit.
Bible prophecies declare that God purposes in the Jews' spirit.
So the movie was made and released in 1980 by Jamie Ice, and he spelled U.
Right, all over a Coke bottle. Right, and like it, but. The same kind of premise was used in Lord of the Rings, where they had to go throw the ring into the pit of fire. Well, that's what they needed to do with the Coke bottle because it caused so much trouble. So it's the same story, just repackaged.
UYS. The writer and the director of that movie was Jamie Ice, UYS, 1980.
Partial blindness that's happened.
And what was painful that I happened to study that movie and did a project on it in my journalism class because the movie was deep, and yet everybody reduced that movie to comedy.
Oh.
And here is the movie, the title, The Gods Must Be Crazy. When you watched it, what did you do? You just laughed. Yeah, it's funny like hell. But that was not what the director was trying to tell the world.
Right.
That movie should have been watched by every African president, student, professor, and hold conferences to understand it. It is what I have been talking about for the last 15 minutes. The pilot of a small plane flew over the Kalahari Bushmen, what you call the Khoikhoi people, in South Africa.
We broke God's laws. Jesus Christ paid our fine. That's
the
right,
Khoikhoi people, once upon a time, they were indigenous people, Bushmen, who had no contact whatsoever with any form of civilization. They haven't seen a metal, they haven't seen a plastic, they haven't seen glass. Never.
Have you seen the
they
video
live on only leather from animals, vegetables from the earth, and they just herd animals back and forth.
No, never.
The Kalahari Bushmen. The plane flew over the village and dropped. The pilot drank Coca-Cola, and dropped the bottle. The bottle fell down. What do the Kalahari people believe ever would come from the sky? God, the Creator, lives in the sky. The sky is meant only for gods, just like the Greek, just like Africans. The sky is meant for gods. They live in the sky. Of course, the Egyptians and some part of India, they always look up to the sky. So anything that fell from the sky couldn't have come from...
Cocoa farmers
no,
had no idea.
It came from the God.
Wow.
In fact, whenever flew over, Of course, in my language, they call it the iron bird. And for the bicycle, the iron horse. The whole village that was once upon a time unified and happy and just have a strict regime of livelihood here and there, now is in complete disarray because there is something they picked from the grounds. They do not have an information about a glass object. They have never seen glass.
Do we know there are
So they don't have any information about the Coca-Cola bottle.
Jesus came, there's no chosen people and became chosen through Jesus.
They don't know that it could be a container for liquid or powdery substance. No. They do not know that this thing can be grounded into another form for use in another way. No. They did not know that you could melt this thing and contour it to become a vase for flowers. No. They do not have a single information about glass. No scientific name, no native name, nothing. That is the crust, the theme of what I'm discussing. Do you know for the rest of the movie what happened to the people of that village? They almost killed somebody with this bottle. That is what happens when you have something you don't have any information about. They tried to blow into it, it made a sound. They claimed that God sent it to them for music. When they wanted to ground seeds, they used it to ground seed. It could have broken. Pieces could have gone into the food and killed all of them. When somebody wouldn't let the other person play with it, he hit the person on the head. She passed away for a few seconds and came around. The chief of the village couldn't take it anymore, took this damn thing from the guards, walked all the way and buried it. Unfortunately, the blood of the person whose head was hit with the bottle, well, animals could smell the blood even when you bury it. So they dug the damn thing out. A kid was passing by, found it, and took it back.
That was part
now
two.
Now the chief is confused as hell. How can I bury the bottle and the bottle came out? The gods must be playing some games with us. And on and on and on and on, the village was going to be torn into pieces over a simple object for a simple reason. They have no information about what a bottle it means. Not just a bottle, a glass object. They've never seen it. What are they going to do with something they have never seen and they don't have any information about? So what are the African political leaders going to do about water, about the earth, and about solar when they believe that it is predestined and sent to us by God for only one thing?
Not today.
Oh, no, you don't understand. You're saying, what are you talking about, Zano? People went to school to study. Oh, yeah? You think the people who started investigating these things and know that we need to know more about these things so that it
right, that's pretty interesting to think about, right? Like, so they've been picking cocoa for 1,000 years, and they have no idea that it can start in the chocolate because it never gets sent back. They're just told that's what they do. I'm a cocoa farmer. The gods grow this bean. We harvest it. We sell it. And it happens again. They have no idea where it goes to, what it does, what happens. Yeah, they don't have the information.
Do more for us. You think they went to school in somebody else's place? The reason, look, and let me tell you something. If you don't have any information about any particular subject, doesn't mean that you are stupid or you are dumb. No, it doesn't at all, in any shape or form. It doesn't. It's saying that your language, the amount of words involved in your language, that is the extent of your knowledge. You cannot do outside that. Language, my friends, is everything, which we don't have. I am talking about written language. Do you know any tribe that has it? The 54. Please stop pointing to Ethiopia. A script is not an alphabet, neither is a text and alphabet. I'm talking about written language. Written language. So, for the brevity of this,
yeah, you would think they would.
Let's focus on West Africa.
What happened is it was growing there, and until someone showed up and said, this is valuable to me. Same thing with oil in the Middle East. They didn't know it was valuable until someone else came and said, this is valuable and we'll trade you for it. It's just always been. The trees that always had coca nibs on it and whatnot. You know, until somebody takes it and says, what? There's a lot of this stuff in Africa. What can we do with this? And they start breaking it down, but they don't have a way to document their discoveries so that when somebody learns something and says, I could do this with chocolate, if somebody else doesn't learn that beside him, he doesn't write it down, when he dies, it starts over again. It's like the whole tribe's being reborn. That information's not passed down. You know, any scientific knowledge, anything like that. It's only what can be remembered or spoken. You see the mayhem ensues when we actually consume chocolate for the first time. I'm having a hard time convincing everyone I meet that ignorance isn't a big deal. You're having a hard time? Yeah. Richard is loco. Shut up, Space Cow. I'm freaking awesome. I like tax. It's like taxes. It might have a vague idea where cocoa goes. We don't know for sure. That's over that side of the world anyway. Dun, 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 dun.
Africa. Is it 12 or 14 countries, whichever number. ECOWAS, the whole region of west of Africa. Then there is the north of Africa. There is the east of Africa. And then there is the south of Africa. Let's focus on the west of Africa. Do you know a single tribe?
It's like farming your own watermelons and never eating a while. Yeah.
That has a written language, meaning.
Well, they probably ate the cocoa buds and the cocoa nibs, but they just had no idea.
Their own words,
I mean,
the phonetics that comes out of their mouth.
Until you eat it and find out it doesn't kill you, things might just grow and die and grow and die. The difference of other cultures, they would ask why they were taking it and would actually try to figure it out for themselves. Right. Let's check cause a wild person stirs in the chocolate.
They write it in their own language.
Right, they write them in their lab books.
That is what I mean. That is what I mean.
But they don't have written languages.
What is H2O in Yoruba, or in Ashanti, or in Ewe or Ghana?
The whole process. Yeah.
What is water? Yeah. You have only one language for it. That's it. And when you say that word, water, immediately in your head, you know three things it does. It cooks for you, it washes you, and you drink it. Finish. Anything you've learned in school is someone trying to teach you a foreign music because the melody is good.
Cocoa butter comes
so
from
simply
cocoa,
saying
man.
that Africa is rich because it has
Right, but it takes experimentation over years to figure all this stuff out, to figure out and how do you extract it. But if somebody learns that in their 50s after dealing with it from their 30s and they don't write it down and they die, then the next person who says, hey, you know, it's the same thing. And so you never advance past that point. If you can't write down what you've learned from your experimentation, when you die, it's gone. And they don't have a written language. Most of their tribes don't have written language. It was all oral tradition.
Sources, it's not true. It's like saying, this kid is a nerd, therefore he's a millionaire. No, simply having the information in your head doesn't make you a millionaire. You need to transfer that information, your nerdy brain, into a production. Serve somebody, work for somebody, call Mark Zuckerberg or Google and work for them,
Tesla
and then you get paid.
Oh, wait, the feds.
But just simply being a nerd doesn't make you a millionaire. So even if the minerals are in Africa, doesn't make the place rich. Not true at all. For the place to be rich, you need to be able to mine your own minerals, understand the use of those minerals, to be able to quantify, qualify those minerals, export those minerals, understand its value and its usage to say, I am rich. But haven't done that, doesn't make you rich. You don't know anything. There is no single mineral in Africa, even those who have it, that knows anything about it. And because you don't have the information about it, meaning that you are intel poor.
Intel
Africa
poor.
is the most
They call Mark Zuckerberg at Google. He owns
continent
Facebook
on
at
Earth.
Google. Is that what he said?
Poverty. Like my buddy, and I quote him from Norway, the founder of Say Something, said recently to me, Africa does not have poverty or economic problem. That is not true at all. It has no economic problem.
It doesn't know
Africa
what economy
has a
is.
systems problem.
I heard that China came to visit Africa and gave them a
you've been
gift of the wheel. They
trying
didn't
to
even
solve it
blow.
with economic methods. No wonder you failed and failed, because you don't have an economic problem. When you discovered gold, take a look at any picture of the Ashanti kings or the kings in Africa. If you really knew the value of gold and what you can do with it and what this thing can do, only when you know that what you have in your hands, you know, because of your language and your institutions like the Chinese Academy of the Sciences, you've been able to study this object and know its value and what it can do.
What up,
only
John?
then you can set a price
No
to sell it
technology
to those
to
who
make a
need
hand
it.
crank. Nope.
Do you have such institutions in Africa? No. Blood diamond, you don't have the institutions that even know what diamonds can do. Sierra Leone doesn't have a center for the study of diamonds, conversion of diamonds, shaping of diamonds, cleaning of diamonds, and the study of what can this thing do. You don't. So how are you going to know the value to claim that you're a rich continent? You don't. So when the Ghanaians, and that's why the British named the place Gold Coast, when the Ashanti people discovered gold, what did they do? They beat it with goldsmith and put rings and chains and bracelets on their arm.
Bling.
2 women have to carry the king's arms before he can walk. That is it. If they truly knew the value, if they knew what this thing can do, and they look around the world and know the regions and the societies who need it to build their heavy industries, they wouldn't even wear a twinkle of that diamond or that gold ring on their finger. No. They will sell it.
It's crazy to think of that. Right, but to them it's just rocks. They don't have any idea what it can be used for. So they don't know the value. They don't know that this diamond, this size, can be used as a record player needle. This size can be used for abrasive sandpapers and grinding tools and media. They didn't do their own research. They didn't go out and say, they didn't go to other countries and say, what are you doing with these stones that we find on the ground, in the ground? And then say, well, hey, they're turning them into these products. Let's do that ourselves. So they don't know. So somebody comes over and says, I want these. And they say, oh, we've got lots of them. Okay, how much do you want for them? Oh, give me a freaking hamburger and a freaking bucket of fries. And then they just take it because they don't know the value. If they have education systems and industry set up to make what other people make, like Africa could have their own chocolate brand. They should. They absolutely should. Instead, they're selling the raw materials and they don't know the true value, or they could raise the price of it. They don't. They should be manufacturing the final product and getting the profit off of that. But they don't know that they see this is chocolate, this is cocoa, but they don't know what it can be, or else you would imagine that they would do that. They would make it, and then the government could say, hey, somebody that made it up, the government would say, hey, we went to America, we went to the UK, and this is what they do, and here's the recipe. We'll order some machines from China, we'll start making it, we'll do as much hand labor as needs to be done, and then we'll start selling it all over, the finest African chocolate. And it would export all over the place. Warlord militias that guard the blood diamond mines and make sure the workers don't steal anything. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It wouldn't work with diamonds. Absolutely not. But anything that's found new, like, listen, there's stuff that we haven't even developed uses for yet. But they should be doing that. They should be like, oh, there's a lot of this colored shiny rock or this dull, flaky mineral. Let's figure out what can be made with it. And then so when people say, hey, we want tons and tons of that, we'll be like, well, this is what it's actually worth, and there's about this much around because we've done surveys and we know there's about this many millions of tons in this area. They don't have that information. So I can see what he's saying. They don't understand the value, therefore they're not rich. Else they would say there's $75 billion worth of cobalt. There's $644 billion worth of this or that.
When the Middle Eastern countries found oil, they knew they have been camel-dwelling, riding people for Bedouins for long. We don't use cars that much.
Innovation takes curiosity and drive.
They knew the value of it because they have someone study it and tell them what this dark liquid can do. And they invited the regions where cars were built, invented and built, to come and manage it. Information is what makes a place rich. The best spy agency in the world is not the ones with smart people. It's not the one that has much money. It's not the one that has big buildings. What makes a spy agency powerful? It's its access to information. The CIA spends more money than any organization you know in the Western world in the collection of information about culture. The cultural department of the CIA can make up to 10 universities in West Africa. They collect information through photographic information, written information, archival information, arts, history. They collect it all. Why people consume a certain type of music during a certain type of period in any country, the CIA knows. And they know exactly what is going to be the temperament of the people based on the type of music they're consuming, whichever period it is. And so they have also funded more production studios in America than anywhere, the CIA, because the cultural department of the CIA is the biggest one. Hollywood. It allows them to study people, to know you very well. Your likes, your taste, your music, your art tells them a lot about you. CIA is not some 2 pistols on your hip, go shoot somebody and come home and report. Nah, CIA is simply Central Intelligence Agency. What does that tell you? Do you see any pistol in that name? Any bullet in that name? Any Marine SEAL in that name?
Have you seen the videos of cobalt mines, women and children digging up by hands while after? Yeah, brother. What up, Richard?
The biggest library in the world.
1908, Richard, English George Reynolds discovered oil in Iran.
Cultures.
Right. But they also had flowing oil. They had what's called, I believe it was called alluvial oil. So surface oil. So it was very easy. Like, here, let's see if I can find some. Let me see if I can find a picture of one real quick. I think it's called alluvial. I know alluvial gold is gold that's found on the surface. Oil rivers south of, damn it. Oil rivers. Now let's see if that'll work. I want to find a painting. Middle East. Let's do Middle East. Here, there you go. This is an oil river. This is an oil. So there's some that's very far underground. There's a lot of land pushing down. So when you dig, it bursts out like a zit, right? And then you have some that you actually have to pump. So you have some ones that aren't under pressure that you have to pump out. Or after the pressure dies down, you have to finish pumping it out. And then they have surface oil. So they've had that. It's just the black water that sticks to you when you touch it for years and years and years, for centuries. And then somebody that knew what it did because it was studied, found it, and they didn't know the value of it. So then they set up. This is why the Middle East blew up so much after the discovery of oil there. But that was but they've had it. They've had it. Speaker sentiment is mostly filtered through capitalistic values. Ventures that have information in the end. Right. Well, that's what he's talking about when people say, they started the conversation by saying, people tell him he talks bad about Africa. Africa's super rich, but people steal it. People steal our minerals. People steal our stuff. And he's saying, no, that's not the problem. You guys don't have the information, and you've never developed the information on what to do with this stuff, or else you would know the value of it. A frothy ejaculate, they might call it. John Goldbody. Oops.
Oxford and Cambridge, the biggest institutions in the world with information about nature and people. Nature. The Chinese Academy of the Sciences, with its cousins, the Wuhan Lab, the largest institutions you can ever find in the world.
Wuhan.
With just so much intelligence, information about almost everything. The Chinese know everything about the hobby of mosquitoes. When you have information, you are rich. When you have information, you can create defense. When you have information, you can build an army. When you have
Norway is
information,
also oil rich.
then you can build institutions that changes even human nature.
Right? Like, you would think that there would be African oil companies going around surveying the land and finding out where there's pockets of oil and doing that. But it's other countries that go there and do that work and then buy the land and then extract the oil when the people don't own it anymore because it's been sold. So that's considered stolen. Like, if we knew it was there, right? If you had the information, if you knew it was there.
Oh, yes, there are countries today, I know some for sure. I have been part of some of the studies and projects. If they want the whole country to begin to act in a certain way, not because they are bad people, because that is the way countries are run. You don't run a country like you run a sheep den or chicken farm. Oh, let every chicken do what it wants. No. Information is collected internally. And through advertisement, media, movies, literature, songs, we can change your mood. In Africa, we don't have such. Guys, I'm even scared as I'm speaking. There is a whole continent of 54 countries that doesn't have a single institution anywhere that knows how to introduce academics, reframe, recreate curriculums in order to guide the proper growth and conduct of the human being. So ask yourself, in what state is the African left? No wonder anyone from outside can come and manipulate you. Oh,
if they come set up where another country comes in and does what they should, only allow them to rent the land, then they should give them a percentage of all the oil found by other countries. I mean, right, but you know, that you figure laws would be passed to make that happen. In the 1960s, you think? I mean, it's like at least 2020. At some point they would do that. They would say, they would sign a contract saying anything pulled out of freaking Africa, Africa gets 10% of. Like, and you don't get the contract if you don't sign it. Some other business will, some other, you know, and they'll do it. They just don't do it. I'm sure what happens is the leaders of the country, the leaders of those countries in Africa, we'll talk to some government and I'll be like, here's $1 million freaking dollars to put in your own bank account and let me get that land. That's what happens.
And you've seen us, not just on the continent, see us in the Caribbean, see us in the United States, see us in the UK, see us everywhere. We don't have institutions that understands nature. The external nature and the human nature, these two things countries are so concerned about that they control food production, what you should eat. They control media, what you should, you know, consume through your visuals and audio systems. They control the arts.
Else they would have to spend that, and self-investment is the #1 issue after this. Africans do not reinvest back into themselves. They get out.
By a committee that decides what books come to that library in that town. It took the Derry in Connecticut library They wanted to rebuild it. Now they call it the library of the country. It took them 9 months to raise $25 million US, 3 floors. The children's section alone can make a whole secondary school.
Also,
in
other
West
countries like China don't
The
necessarily
books
buy the resources they're
that
trading
are
for
there
infrastructure. I don't
were
believe all the
managed,
tribes. I don't
coordinated.
believe all of the tribes in Africa continent wanted their art and resources stolen. No. That's the thing is sure. No, I can understand your point of view also, but they don't have written language. They don't have written language. So whenever they discover something about their land or about a mineral or a product or whatever, they don't document it. Or they haven't for hundreds of thousands of years. So this is what he's saying is other countries have institutions and have libraries of knowledge. So if somebody learns something about their land from experimenting and fiddling around, it gets documented. So if that person dies off, the next person can pick up from where this person left off. Instead, somebody dies off, and then the next person that wants to see what you could do with coca bean or coca nibs and whatnot, they start from scratch. Except for maybe something a little bit that they might remember they heard or whatever from a song. Instead of looking and being like, look, this is the bean, this is how it was drawn, this is what this part is, this is what that part is. So they don't have to start over from scratch and reinvent the wheel, so to speak. But no, and I don't think they're being stolen either. What he was saying is they're not being stolen because they don't even know the value of it. But what the narrative is that people come in and steal all of our wealth. They took all of our stuff. No, they paid for it and they made you trades and barters. But but what Africans should be doing is saying they should say, well, let's go to China and see what they're doing with this mineral, and then let's start doing it here too, and let's raise money and figure it out. And they're not reinvesting back into the education of their own people.
By a PhD holder in child development and library studies. And when you go there every day, it's packed with children, watching videos, reading books, picture books, photographic books, you name it. Do you have such in your town in Lagos, in Accra, in Cotonou, Benin, in Togo, Burkina Faso? You don't. Then who is controlling the behavior of the human beings? They've all been left in a certain level, natural state. Do you see the problem? Nothing is wrong with Africa. Nothing is wrong with the black man. We are only what we are. Only when you understand that, oh boy, then you can seek. If you don't like what you say, what you have arrived at, if you don't like it, then you can seek for help. Why we have not been able to do it? See, you see that, just see this video. Look at that. People in Ghana, Accra, the gateway to the country.
Yep.
They don't have information about water. They know nothing about the power of aqua. So a river, people poured so much dirt at night just so they can steal part of it, and they build their houses on top of it. Nothing is more dangerous than somebody who is trying to interfere with nature unscientifically. And they flooded the entire city. Watch.
Yeah, right.
And they are walking in it.
Right. So people think it's a problem. He's saying it's not a problem. You've got to know what you're missing in order to seek out that knowledge. Like they don't have children that can go. They have children. They don't have libraries the children can go into and open books and say, wow, this is that. This is what this is and what that is and whatnot. And when that tried to happen, they called them colonizers. The colonizers did bad things too, but they built schools, and that all went to crap. It was all seen as the colonizers trying to take their natural way away from them, and they tore it all down, burned it all down. What's up, Hippocrates? Have you noticed that there hasn't really been a charting Billboard rap song since USA got cut off? USA propping up the rappers' rap industry with NGOs. Yeah, I heard that too. And the interesting thing is, it was very quick, and it, like I showed this the other day. Lizzo sold 1.6 million records. Her last record, she sold under 3,000 of her new record that just came out a few months ago. Less than 3,000 copies. That's crazy. She's got 250,000 followers on her private Instagram, and those 250,000 people didn't even buy one record each. It ain't building a house on top of water. Kind of doesn't make any sense. What he's saying is they don't understand it. Water is used for bathing, drinking, and cooking, and that's it. And they don't document, they don't study it. They don't have institutions that study the minerals, the compounds, anything. It's just like this is and always will be. It's obvious USA have fun a lot. Yeah.
On the City Newsroom today, we are focusing again on flooding, except that our focus today is on flooding that is caused by structures that have been built on waterways. A lot of the times when there's flooding because of rains, the blame goes on people who have put up these structures on the waterway. I'm speaking to you from Dansoman in Accra, and in this community, residents are angry. They're blaming the flooding here on a huge edifice that has been placed in their community. We'll be speaking to them. Let's enter one of the houses where the flooding was huge. Indeed, before I go through, let me just show you a clip of what transpired here on Saturday, captured by the residents themselves on mobile phone.
Do you know the unintended byproduct of this, what you are seeing, this flood, is washing all these dirt, germs from every corner of that dirty city into other people's homes. And it's going into the waterways, and it's seeping into their own drinking water. And by the time it dries, oh my God, with the heat, bacteria and germs, and then another product starts, and nobody can ever trace. They didn't know that trying to build on the water path. Today in Kenya, people would steal at night, drill boreholes, because they don't have information about water. Water is just not there for natural distribution without control. There are many countries in the Scandinavia, if not the entire Scandinavia, including Japan. They can tell you in numbers how many liters of aquifer, meaning water stored naturally in the ground everywhere that they can collect, and how many people can dwell and rely and use that water for the next 100 years. Countries have the number. Water is the new oil, but the Congo is there. There is an old saying, and nobody has ever thought about it.
Yep.
In the abundance of water, the fool will be thirsty. You sing it every day. The DJ plays it and you're jumping up and down because Bob Marley made it popular. What is the meaning of that saying? In the abundance of water, the fool will be thirsty. What is the meaning? Have you thought about it? The fool here doesn't mean an idiot or a dumb person or some Christian. No. Fool means he without information. The gods must be crazy. That bottle could have served them and brought beauty. If they just took it and put a flower and put water there, everybody would be happy. But they don't have information. So in the abundance of water, the fool means that, or he who has no information about water, how would he know how to use it? That is what the saying is deep. In the abundance of beauty, the blind will be hungry. In the abundance of sweet melody, the deaf will be hungry of music. So in the abundance of natural resources in Africa, yes, land space, oh, we have it because we don't have many mountains in Africa. Japan is talking about almost, the land space in Japan is occupied by almost close to what, 73.8% of the land is all mountains. Japanese use, the 126 million people, uses only less than 30% land space. And you know what it does? It turned them into the masters of miniaturization. Oh, they can write a whole poem on a rice bean, a rice seed.
Rice grain.
The space squeezed them. Africa, the land space, no mountains. But in the abundance of that land space, you don't know any single African who has ever been celebrated being a millionaire, a wealthy man, and he's a farmer.
Millionaire. Millionaire.
And that continent suffers from food shortage, my friend. That is the old adage. In the abundance of land, the food, meaning those, the societies, the cultures without information about soil, will be hungry. Think about it. The continent that is referred to as the most known for agriculture, 365 uninterrupted. You can plant crops with no green gas houses or whatever we call greenhouses. But because they have no information about soil, Africa has not given birth to one single farmer who is celebrated as a millionaire. Guess who they say is the richest man in Africa? Dangote. What makes him rich? They said cement. Please, go and read the production of cement. It's the most simplest method. He didn't create anything. He imported cement making machines from Europe, imported, what do they call it? Cronket or crinket, where that drops into and ground to make the cement. And then you bag it, put a name on it and sell. You don't build universities on a cement making factory, but there are farms in China, in Norway, in America, everywhere. In the farm, they have their own institutions that study the seed, manipulate the seed, re-engineer the seed for mass production. That is a control of nature. They study the soil, the water. They study the climate. They can even manipulate and change the soil. There is not a single farmer in Africa, a black man, I mean. Only those who had knowledge and information about soil became the most powerful, richest people in both Zimbabwe and South Africa. White people. Because they have information, not because they're smart. No, they have information. So the African was sitting on the soil and only did planting. Yeah, you have plenty planters in Africa. Those are not farming. Farming is a technology. It's an institute. It's a whole industry. It's a technology. Those who come from predestined, it's a belief system. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, who believe that they are fatalistic. Fatalistic cultures rely on the one above to do everything. So the African would dig, put a seed, cover it, and then wait on nature to take its course. Those who have information about nature, including the soil, the seed you put in the soil and the water, those who have information about it, the intelligence about it, they don't rely on nature. They can manipulate a whole farm.
I'll go there. His net worth is
Information is everything.
$36.5 billion.
And so societies who do not have their own written form, language, meaning they can't.
Dude, listen, if somebody would build an iron smelting factory, they'd be as rich as that too, or more. So with iron and concrete, you can build any of the infrastructure that you really want. I mean, that's what America is. That's what every other industrialized country is. And iron expands thermally at the same rate as concrete. That's why rebar doesn't break away from concrete. They both expand at the same ratio at the same temperatures. If they expanded differently, if you use like aluminum for rebar, it would expand differently than concrete and it would cause the concrete to break apart. So if they have concrete. They just need a freaking iron smelting factory to make rebar and I-beams and whatnot. And they just, bro, this dude should go to Africa, give his knowledge. He came from Africa. That's where he got his knowledge. But I think he understands that everybody, the big names in Africa say they're poor because they're stolen from. Victim. And they're waiting for their greatest, the people that they elect to put into power from amongst their own people that still don't have that knowledge to do something for them, to stop the thief. But that's not the problem. The problem is they haven't developed their own way.
Observe behaviors and write it down. No, they can't. And if you don't write it down, you run the risk
of losing it.
Of information
salt
hijack.
Fiber makes better.
By the time it gets to the third generation, if you're lucky, third, sometimes it's the next generation, the whole information.
Yes, this is Frank Zanu. He lives in Connecticut now. He's an educator. He's traveled all over the world, and now he works with an I want to say, not MIT, maybe Harvard. I can't remember the name of the place he does. He does from what he says, he also does a lot of mentoring. So he takes people from like America and takes them to Africa and says, this is what's going on. And that's exactly what should be happening in Africa. African leaders should be taking people to America, say, document everything. Like, you're going to study this, you're going to study that, you're going to say that, you're going to say that. And they should give scholarships to send people to Africa. The problem is they don't go back home. They say, once they learn it, they say, okay, now I've got this information, I've got this degree, now I'm going to apply for an American company. Everyone is powerful, is rich, and sucks their own ego dick. Yeah, that definitely happens. But you need that. You like without that, you have Africa. You've got people that want to chase knowledge and greatness to suck their own ego dick. And from that, you have a bunch of people that can develop underneath those people. And I understand a lot of people don't like it, but it's a requirement. Every time we go to socialism and communism is after that's built and people are resentful. They say we'll seize the means, but they don't have the knowledge to upkeep it. They don't have the knowledge and the direction to expand it. The person that was getting rich is the one that wants to expand it for their own, put their name on it. That's all right, brother. That's all right. I don't need that. I chase the truth. Knowledge capitalism is not the truth. Hey, listen. But it works. Obviously it works. And the only other way we can change from capitalism. Listen, I don't think capitalism's the problem. I think evil's the problem. People that want that and are willing to hurt people to get there. That's the problem. Capitalism isn't the problem. The way capitalism's taught's the problem. But being rewarded for greatness that helps the population is a good thing. It's rewards for finding stuff out, finding better ways, more efficient ways to do things. The problem with happening, if we go communist, what's going to happen is doctors will get paid the same amount as plumbers, as bakers. And when that happens, the doctors won't do the work that's required at that level because they already paid the money because they wanted to be millionaires. And now you're saying to these people, you can never be. And now they'll be like, okay, well, oops, you bled to death. Oops, oh, no, too much. And that's what's going to happen because people that chase that break the walls down. Kind of like how China and Mexico and any other countries send the people here to the U.S. to go to school for doctors and surgeons. They go back, yes, right, because we set up the industry and the education systems to teach our own people that to serve our population. And they're like, well, we need that too, so let's learn from the people that developed it. If you bring tech to a country for 30 years and take it away, you destroy them because they live the old way, they knew the tech. Right. So when you bring that technology to a country, that country should have said, we need to document how to do all of this. Instead, what Frank believes happened is they became resentful of that. And so they got kicked out. They didn't get taken away. They got kicked out. And then they wanted to destroy the vestige of it. I studied the work of behavioral health services. Humans are innately corrupt, selfish, the gooder qualities. And the people are simply too competitive for capitalism to be the best economy. What do you think's the best economy? I'd love to hear another option. I can't see it being communism. I can't see you forcing people that don't have that mentality into saying, no, you're going to be a doctor and you're only going to get paid $26 an hour or whatever it comes out to be. I can see them becoming resentful and then mass deaths. Doctors already get paid minimum wage in England and those socialist free healthcare countries as well. And they don't get really kick-ass results. But what's the option?
Contorted.
Education should be socialist, absolutely. But the problem is once you go there, you're never going to surpass that. Whatever level of knowledge you've gotten to as a society, once you go communist or socialist, people don't get rewarded for expanding that knowledge. People don't invest in, they won't invest in themselves without a payoff. And we are the most knowledgeable country on earth, and it's because people invested in themselves for greatness. Ego has a means to in social development. Single payer healthcare is the best way around getting healthcare paid to go through your work. Yeah, no, I agree. And we got to help the elderly, and we got to help the infirm and the young. Absolutely. Why be a doctor when you can become a cab driver? Right. That's my point. And the people be like, no, we're running the country. You're going to be the doctor because you already paid $200,000, $300,000 for that knowledge. Then you have to have the teachers that are teaching the next surgeons, and they'll get paid the same as the baker. So then you're going to start having brain drain because no one's going to be, people need a personal reason to excel. You need the factories to build the equipment, not just the equipment. Yes, right. No, I agree. Free healthcare countries, medical supplies made by the cheapest bidder, and no competition to make stuff better. Right. That competition is human nature, a part of human nature. And when you try to take things out of nature and sell it back to somebody in a clinical way, it doesn't work. It would work for a little while everything starts to break down and be destroyed. People don't want to work hard for nothing. People don't want to work hard for people that hate them. And the socialists and the communists think that, like, all of a sudden all the capitalists that get forced into a communist society will be like, oh, well, okay. 1, 2.
Never place your bet or your investment on any society that doesn't have written language and relies only on oral. Because you don't know what you are hearing today was exactly what was said yesterday.
Right.
You can't verify. You can't say, wait, let me go and do a reference and fact check you. Can't fact check anybody there. And if you cannot fact check people, where is progress, my friends?
Cuba has produced
How come the continent that is rife, in fact, if you put
also
that continent in the hands of Chinese or Japanese or Norwegians or any Americans,
slaves to that will pay for healthcare.
No more hunger will be on earth from the sheer export of food stuff, 365 days. But not a single black man is known to be a millionaire through farming. Not a single black man is known to be a millionaire through fishing. Now you are celebrating the one who's done something anyone with money and investment could do. Buy machines from wherever because of your friendship with government authorities and politicians. They can clear it for you. Get a land and put a factory and produce cement. And nobody even tests to see the quality of that cement. the asbestos that goes into your lungs when you build with it. Now you are celebrating him as the richest man. Think of it. Think of the hunger. A whole region in the Middle East cannot grow avocado. A whole region in the Middle East can grow mangoes. They can grow tomatoes. They can grow okra. If the only country, the only region to which these 54 countries, even take West Africa, 12 large, vast lands, if the only region you export is just the Middle East, guys, do you know what it means? Do you know the sheer employment opportunities, the ecosystem that will be built around 1 10-hectare acres farm? You can manage a 1 acre of corn. Wow. And everybody is becoming an IT. Everybody is becoming doctor. They are asking that Africans should go into STEM.
Fidel Castro, pre-socialist.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Right. Well, now we also know that Fidel Castro set up a capitalist company, and everybody under them lived as socialists. They profited off of it. So they just lied to everybody. And the same thing happened in Venezuela. They got rich. Everybody else lived like crap. Because the people that have the people with ego that are going to be the rulers of your socialist or communist society, when they have to step down, do you think they're going to take a $22 an hour job as a baker? No, they ruled you. They're not going to lose that. Their ego cannot take that hit. They want power. That's why they think if we become socialists, ask them what they'll do. When the people that sell you socialism, ask them what their job will be. What? Obviously, I'll tell you what to do. That's what they want. Decentralized humanistic socialism may work for the state's bottom-top social safety nets while also encouraging individual innovations. How do you encourage individual innovation? How do you encourage that? If not with money or fame. We used to have dry, wet food until Obama killed it, found Cubans in the water, found back to farm safe. So I say here. I was about to say the same thing about Venezuela. Yeah, it was because Castro had imprisoned them for escaping and used cattle iron to burn an X on their backs. Jesus Christ.
People who do
There's a reason that America became the center of the world with innovation, R&D, and you have so many families' names on buildings and companies. They did it for the ego. They did it for the power. They did it for the money. Same, like a lot of people start bands to get chicks, and the great music that came from that, they wanted chicks and they wanted money, and the great music that came from that got to, was able to entertain society. If people if they don't feel invested in, if they just feel like worker bees, they will not push. Africa's a great case study for that. Switching something that has worked so well. Our poor people are fat. Our poor people are obese. Nobody's starving in America. We talk down a lot about America. It's the best country on earth. It's helped more people than any other country on earth. It's developed more products and technologies and health advancements and achievements than any other country on earth. We got away from ourselves when we tried to say we will manage the rest of the world and the rest of the world can do our manufacturing for us. Because you had people at the advent of internet that could see us working day to day, living day to day, and they could see what their sweat was being sold for in other countries. After the 1990s, when the internet became a big thing, that's when the people from the other countries that were working for slave wages. Remember, there's still slavery in the world. There's more slaves now in the world than there was during the North Atlantic slave trade. So you have to understand what people want out of life. And there's few very, very, very smart people in the world that can develop. If you don't give them an award that they want, they have to be striving for something. Only people are starving, homeless there. Most of them get food when needed. Yeah. Get you some ink, brother. I can connect my phone to my printer. Yep. That's what I do. I print from my phone. But yeah, you've got to be able to reward people. I think we think so politically now that we're not thinking humanitarian in a humanitarian sense. In a human sense, we say we think we can figure out how to run the country, run the government. But when people get angry, when they want more, when the bakers don't want to bake because they know they're getting paid the same price as the surgeons, and the surgeons get the girls or whatever, they'll stop working. The best thing about the arrival of the internet was databases that exposed pedophiles to the RCC.
Have written language. I should wait for you to go to school in the West and study with a Western child and use his official language. You should study enough his official language. Yet the two of you will go to the class.
It might be cheaper if buy a new printer. Yeah, brother. Video and printer ink with much more without the printer. Humans are naturally innovative, so it's not about encouraging innovative. It's a matter of providing incentives. Imagine society with incentive empathy. But there's a lot of people that develop are sociopaths. You can't guarantee who people that have the ability to innovate will do it. Especially if they're sociopaths, they won't do it for empathy. They won't. I mean, look at the people that run the biggest businesses in the world now that have developed and innovated so much. They don't have no empathy for nobody, and that's why they did it. They did it for themselves and their families. So many might fake it, but they say, yeah, right, yeah. And listen, empathy has come to a close. The whole world that was a very the parts of the world that were the most giving of the world didn't even care. Okay, my taxes went up. Now everybody's pissed. Everybody's like, what did you do with what I've been giving you for this many years? And people are losing empathy. So empathy ebbs and flows. It's definitely a case study.
And that you will know more and can do it, so I can employ you over him because you got an A and an A. Because yours is a temporal information. You studied it. You had the ability to store it because of your oral history culture. So it's consumed, pour it out, and you forget. For him, it's
these people made it because the people before them got the high before anyone had the balls to bring it back down. Musk's not the most intelligent person in all the world. No, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying Musk is. But I'm talking about when you talk to very successful people, if you get the chance to talk to a lot of very, very, very successful people, and you ask them like, how do I do what you've done? How would you give me advice? He says, you got to want it. They say, you've got to want it. You've got to want it. And so, and not everybody has the same end goal. Musk's drive may be different than Zuckerberg's drive, maybe different than freaking Sergey Brin's drive. We don't know. And what will happen if we try to make that clinical, trying to determine who? You'll have a bunch of research being done to try to figure out what children will end up being the innovators. And then these kids will be put on a pedestal. They'll need to be rewarded. They'll need to know you've got a gift and you need to chase that. But in a society, I'm going back to the communism thing, that won't be rewarded. Typically in these types of societies, technology stops being innovated when these systems get implemented. But I mean, brother, listen, if we could figure something out, I would like it. It can't be socialism. It can't be communism. We've got to figure out a way that people can benefit from their different skills, benefit from their gifts. And that's what I believe's got to be pushed. What about coming out of Cuba? What innovation? Right. Yeah. What do you think about UBC, Universal Basic Income, all to do with AI, robots in the workforce of 2027, Tesla bots who work? They want more time out of everything else in the world. They can't buy time. That's what their part of fuels their insanity. Right. But that insanity it can often is a benefit to us. Ethiopia yesterday resembles Ethiopia 2,000 years ago. Innovation isn't guaranteed. Universal basic income is Satan. The last thing I want to do is be dependent on somebody else. And right, like I want to do great things. I want to do great things and I want to be rewarded for it. I don't want to have to chase somebody else's thing. Like if somebody tells me, hey, you're number 864, you've got to be a baker, you've got to be a doctor, you've got to be this, you've got to be that. Like people have to chase their dreams, like their interests. And how do you do that? How do you set that up? Because a lot of people think if we switch to communism today, it would be fine for 20 years because we've got everything built and maintained to deal with that. But when people don't have anything to strive for, I don't know. My apologies. I haven't been here for a ritual. It's been a collapse schedule. It's all right, brother. How you been? A Cuban got the innovation 60 years of old cars. Yeah. Them wanting to be immortal does not benefit me. No. Them, you're talking about what they're doing now. But what drive got them to the point that they're at now? What drove them to create the products and goods and services that benefit the society? Then once they get there, that's when things go crazy. And I understand that also. But they didn't start these companies because they wanted to be immortal. That just happened after the freaking drunk with power stuff.
Permanent knowledge. So whom should I employ? You see?
Broadcast. Good news to tell everybody. What's up, brother?
I should wait.
You turn Congress to
think about it. If mathematics developed in everybody's own language is what is needed to industrialize and make a place really livable, what is the equivalent in any West Africa?
Well, they're working on that, Trey. So right now, OpenAI wants to give the Trump administration 5% of the company. So any money that OpenAI makes, that can go into a fund and everybody can, in America, all American citizens can get a check cut to them, kind of like how Alaska is doing it with oil. Everybody in Alaska gets a check once a year from the oil profits. And so if AI will start doing that, and other big, huge, super wealthy companies start doing that, we may, without having to get universal basic income, get a check so basically what needs to be done is what the Trump accounts are doing for children, but it needs to be done for everybody to force people to own a part of their country. So I think a big problem is people don't feel that they own it, but if you can tell kids, hey, you own a part of Apple, you own a part of, yeah, 83, congratulations, Wolf, brother. Did you watch Asmongold's reaction to DR? Yes, I did. I did watch that. Yeah. Not the whole thing. It was like a half hour long, but I watched it for like 10 minutes.
African language of the mathematical pi, P-I-E. What is equivalent in your language? The other day I talked about not having a concept. It's impossible. No magician can do it. You cannot do something you don't have a concept. If you don't have the concept of the mathematical pi in your own language, what is the mathematical pi? You don't have an equivalent in your language.
She had to live there for 2
so
years.
how much will you understand it? No, you can remember it as the teacher put it on the board.
Have a good night,
You can repeat it during the exam and get an A. But I am not going to rely on that person. If that calculation, that process, that mathematical formula is what is required to build my society, I'm not going to rely on the person who doesn't have an equivalent in his or her language. So if you, the ordinary citizens, you don't have what I'm talking about, the information I have simply told you don't have. You don't have CO2 in your language. You don't have H2O in your language. You don't have solar in your language. You don't have pi in your language.
Ice.
If the shortage, the absence of information about things is the reason the African continent has not been able to develop or industrialize their environment using the natural resources that everybody else has, you have the same thing, same equal amount.
What up, dial up?
So you have to resort to these very dangerous statements.
Like the stream.
You are poor because Western countries came to steal your natural resources. The next time you hear somebody make that statement, here, I'm giving you free. The first question is this. Wait. So you mean Africa was very rich? The people have everything. Good roads, good houses, medical facilities. Africa was rich. Because it was using the resources, the natural resources. It was exporting them.
Just thinking about changing my name from dial up.
And only when the Westerner came in the middle of the night to steal it, then Africa started becoming poor. Is that what you're saying? Let me repeat. If you say Africa is underdeveloped because the Western countries are stealing all our natural resources, the question I need to ask you, or you need to learn to ask someone who says that, ask the person, what you're saying means once upon a time, Africa was managing its natural resources, exporting it, and building its country with these natural resources. Then the Western countries came, closed down the factories where the African countries were mining, developing, quantifying, qualifying, polishing these mineral resources for export. The Western countries shut it down and started stealing the mineral resources, and Africa started becoming poor. Is that what you mean? And the person have to say yes or no. Then show me a country that was aggressively drilling, mining, cultivating its own underground mineral resources when you could not even cultivate a simple lake or river into your homes. You could not cultivate barely what is there naked to your eyes, solar energy onto your roofs. But you were able to burrow down into the earth? And which country was buying your mineral resources that made you rich before somebody came and stole the factory?
How much they charging for a roof? What kind of roof getting in the lane?
When you follow up with these kind of questions to those conclusions, you will suddenly see in front of you, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Guys, ZPR, my main mission is to lead the newer generation of deep thinking boys and girls in the continent to start rejecting some of the statements with which we fooled them for all these years. And hear me, those who crafted these statements were not just trying to tell a lie or anything like that. It just made sense to them to explain.
Basic materials, $20,000 basic roof.
But no,
specific words.
The poorest continent, or you've now heard from me the reason Africa is the poorest continent.
Smack the Africa is pretty cool.
Because my friends, you don't start being rich from money. You start being rich when you begin to have information about the very things that surround you. Suddenly you will realize the animal skin you've been using to cover your organs can make your people rich.
Just
but you got to have information about that scheme.
Jeez, deer lowered my life.
Even a drug.
Okay, I have a ton of anxiety about these anchors be putting in my mouth. They're trying to be drilling 2 screws in my bone. It's 22 grand. Jesus. Oh, man. That's freaking insanity. Let's see if we can find this. Try chocolate for the first time.
Alphonse is een van de 700.000 kleine boeren werkzaam in de Ivoire.
Jeez.
Chers amis de Metropolis, bonjour.
Jeez, they don't have it in freaking English. Washington, all materials bought $4,200. Yeah, my boss's roof. Getting paid a scab. I'm a scab, but it's 27 square. Okay, let's see. Where is it in English? That's French. But he works on a cocoa plantation. He's never yet. That sort of tied to slaves, the central bank, etc. I was told I was crazy for thinking how I think for a portion of my life, believing in some conspiracy theories, describing what I've seen, experienced, a near-death experience. Capitalism is a fool's tool, brother. I can listen. I can agree with you. But it's done. You have to understand the fruits, what capitalism has produced. It would not have been done without it. Because it hasn't. It wasn't done. It didn't get done. This kind of capitalism, this kind of democracy, they started kind of like that in Rome. That fell. And then you have America, and that's the only place that democracy or whatever, the close to you as you can get to it, and capitalism worked and actually created a technologically advanced burgeoning society. You could call it a fool's tool, but what tool would have gotten us here sooner? And with 350 million people, you're not going to be able to find just empathetic people. You're going to find hateful people. I'm getting closer to my option. Mine's like $9,000, 2 implants. The other option, 5 implants. Can't afford it. Jeez, that's crazy expensive. All right, everybody. I'm going to head off to sleep. He's like, what is this? He's like, yeah, it's good. All right. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I love y'all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Yeah, he likes chocolate. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.